Chapter 655. Wang Daoyuan did not decline. The cultivators who came to participate in the Yuanying ceremony had given him many good things. The Tai sword diagram that swordless spiritual master had given him was left behind by a cultivator at the peak of the soul formation realm. Although it was not as good as the original, it would not be a problem for him to comprehend the Tao of sword cultivation from it. He himself was a dabbler in the Tao of sword cultivation and did not have a complete sword cultivation inheritance. If he could get his hands on the Tai sword diagram, he might be able to perfect his sword cultivation inheritance. He took the 2 interspatial rings and carefully checked the things inside. Apart from Dharma artifacts, there were all kinds of gifts in these 2 interspatial rings. After all, giving Dharma artifacts to the Divine Weapon Pavilion was somewhat provocative. Wang Daoyuan focused on the gifts of books, which were good things that could strengthen the foundation of the family. There were not many gifts of books. He only found a 2-foot-long 3-inch diameter painting scroll and a beast skin book. He took out the painting scroll and unfolded it. The painting was of the back of a man holding a long sword without any decorations. When his divine consciousness entered the painting, the scene he saw was completely different from what he saw with the naked eye. At this time, the Tai sword diagram was no longer a simple painting scroll. The scenery in the painting had become alive. However, he could still only see the back of the man in the painting. One strange creature after another pounced toward the man in the painting. Wang Daoyuan also recognized these strange things. They were all demons. The man in the painting just waved his sword gently. He did not even emit sword qi, and the demons were cut in half. Wang Daoyuan had seen this scene before. He had the Tai sword diagram that swordless spiritual master had copied. There was no difference in the moves, but the concept was completely different. In the swordless spiritual master's copy, the sword gave people the feeling that there was only him in the world and nothing else. It was like an immortal who had lived in outer space for a long time and had never entered the world. However, the painting in front of him gave people the feeling of elegance and freedom. It was after entering the world, seeing through the mortal world and no longer being bound by the worldly things. Of course, this was only Wang Daoyuan's first feeling. He did not understand it deeply. It was said that different people would have different feelings when they saw the Tai sword diagram. Even if the same person looked at it at different times, they would have different feelings. Many people had comprehended the Tao of sword cultivation from the Tai divine sword diagram, and these Tao of sword cultivation were all different. It wasn't something that could be obtained in a day or 2. He put away the Tai sword diagram and took out the beast skin book. This beast skin book was very thin. It only had 5 pages and didn't even have a cover. There were no words on the surface of the beast skin book. However, Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual consciousness to probe it, and immediately saw the familiar contents on the first page. This was the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. It contained the Golden Rock True Form diagram, as well as the content of condensing the Golden Rock's image. He read through it carefully. The contents were clearly of the same origin as the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique in his possession. However, this one was more complicated and complete. The author called himself Golden Rock Emperor. It should be the inheritance he left behind when he was a soul formation cultivator. It was only natural for it to be more complicated and complete. On the second page was the feather blade that Wang Daoyuan was extremely familiar with. This feather blade was complete and it had changed a lot. It also pursued lethality. The feather blades that he originally obtained were increased by increasing the number of feather blades. However, the feather blades recorded in this beast skin book pursued the lethality of a single feather blade. Only increasing the number of feather blades was very suitable for killing weak but large numbers of opponents. However, when 1,000 feather blades were launched at the same time, it was impossible to concentrate the power on one point in an instant. The lethality was scattered, and it might not be able to break through the defense of an expert. This feather blade was to reduce the number of feather blades as much as possible, gradually reducing it from 1,000. In this way, the same amount of spiritual power would be concentrated on a few feather blades, and the lethality of a single feather blade would increase exponentially. At the same time, the speed of the feather blades and their ability to break through defenses would also be stronger. The third page was created by imitating the Golden Rock's claws to catch prey. It was called the Dragon Capturing Claw. It could be used with the Golden Rock's Phantom, or it could also be used as a close combat spell. The fourth page was imitating the Golden Rock's attack with its wings. It was called the Wing Blade. It could emit an attack similar to a sword light, but its power was far superior. The fifth page was an escape technique called the Golden Rock Flight Technique, which imitated the flight of the Golden Rock. Rocks were known for their speed, so the speed of this escape technique was naturally not slow. Wang Daoyuan asked Perfected Lei Yen, "Master, which faction sent this Golden Rock Fighting Dragon technique? This family is quite generous, to actually send a Dharma spell left behind by a soul formation cultivator." It was sent by the Zhou family. The Zhou family's inheritance is also somewhat related to the Valley of Beasts. Only they can take out such a complete inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Moreover, this Dharma spell was given by Lord Riverside. This beast skin book doesn't even have a cover. It should be a last-minute idea that was specially given to you. When you received Lord Riverside and the Crown Prince of the Zhou family, Lord Riverside said that he wanted a marriage alliance. What did you say? How could the Zhou family be willing to give away such an inheritance? Moreover, I see that Zhou Jingyuan's expression hasn't been too good. Wang Daoyuan replied, "I only revealed a little about Zhou Wan and I became Zhou Jingyuan's uncle. However, this second brother-in-law of mine is really generous. He's really willing to give away such a good Dharma spell." Perfected Lei Yen smiled. It seems that the Zhou family still wants to go one step further and be on equal footing with the four top factions. They want to get on my good side through you. By the way, you've been looking for a Dao companion for decades. When are you going to give me a grand disciple? When you're old, you always like to play with children. Ming Ting was quite fun when he was young, but he's too serious when he grows up. Wang Daoyuan also said helplessly, "Zhou Wan and I are both golden core cultivators. It's difficult for us to have children. This matter can't be rushed." Perfected Lei Yen got up and walked into the depths of the cave. "Wait here, I'll get you something." He continued to choose gifts and found 3 more golden cores of demon beasts. It just so happened that he wanted to refine golden cores, but he was afraid that there were too few for him to practice with. Now that he encountered such things, he naturally couldn't let them go. He took all of them. The rest were some refining materials, pills, talismans, formation plates and so on. Wang Daoyuan wasn't in a hurry to use them, so he left them for his other apprentice brothers. Not long later, Perfected Lei Yen walked out with a few books. "Although I don't have a Dao companion, there are still many Dao companions among the ancestors. After tens of thousands of years, there are still some dual cultivation secret techniques. Take them." Wang Daoyuan took the books and read them. These dual cultivation secret techniques were indeed quite brilliant, but it was a pity that there were no illustrations. He took the books and returned the 2 yin and yang rings to Perfected Lei Yen. "Master, among these gifts, I only need the Tai Divine Sword Diagram, Golden Ping Fighting Dragon Technique and 3 golden cores of Demon Beast. I'll leave the rest to my fellow apprentice brothers. I also have the 100 Spirit True Monarch's secret technique to refine spiritual fire. With this secret technique, refining pseudo-spiritual fire shouldn't be difficult. There are refined corpses in the north of Qingli County and demon beasts in the east. I can't leave for too long, so I'll take my leave now." With that, he took out a jade slip and the purple thunder divine flame pseudo-spiritual fire. Perfected Lei Yen took the items. "You're now the ruler of a county and have a lot of work to do. I won't keep you. Now that I've broken through to the Yuanying realm, you don't have to be too cautious. If anyone dares to make things difficult for you, just send me a message and I'll take care of it for you. There's no need to hide Zhou Wan's matter either. There's no harm in exposing it. My disciple isn't worthy of a hall master of Blood Shadow. If those old fellows of Blood Shadow dare to say anything, I'll take you to their headquarters to propose marriage. A few half-step Yuanying cultivators won't be able to do anything in front of me." Wang Daoyuan repeatedly agreed, but he didn't want to expose Zhou Wan's identity now. Otherwise, Blood Shadow would be on guard and it wouldn't be easy for the Wang clan's disciples to infiltrate. After chatting for a bit more, he left Treasured Cauldron Mountain. This trip really wasn't in vain. After giving away a corpse core, his master had become a Yuanying cultivator. With such a powerful backer, even if he left Beiyuan Zhou Xian, no one would dare to openly attack the Wang clan. He even obtained the Tai Divine Sword Diagram and other items. It could be considered a rewarding trip. Chapter 656. He returned to Jade Spring Peak without any surprises or mishaps. The news of his master's nascent soul formation had already spread throughout Beiyuan Zhou Xian. The Qingli Commandery had also received the news. The most obvious change was the Wang clan's drunken Immortal restaurant in Qingli City. It was now packed with people every day. After all, this was a place where Yuanying cultivators had once lived. The food and wine here were praised by Yuanying cultivators. The Golden Core cultivators of the four top powers had also stayed at the drunken Immortal restaurant many times. Although they didn't leave behind any treasures of calligraphy, there were still many wandering cultivators who came to pay homage to the sacred site. Nothing major had happened in Qingli Commandery. Wang Daoyuan greeted his third brother and returned to his underground cave residence. When he entered the rear courtyard, he saw Zhou Wan standing by the gate. She inquired after his well-being. "Your Highness, you've worked hard." Wang Daoyuan felt his hair stand on end. "Hall Master Lord Linjiang of Zhou said he wanted to marry me, but I refused. I even told them some things about you. I directly addressed Lord Linjiang as second uncle and Zhou Jingyuan as eldest nephew. I only said a few polite words to wind Snow Deity Palace's Taoist flying snow. I didn't do anything." Zhou Wan glared at him. "At least you have a conscience." Wang Daoyuan finally relaxed and said fawningly, "Master said he's now a Yuanying cultivator. There's no one in Beiyuan Zhou Xian that he's afraid of. There's no need for us to be secretive. It's not a big deal to directly announce your identity. Master will take me to Blood Shadow's headquarters to propose marriage. When do you think we should announce your identity?" Zhou Wan pondered for a moment. "I don't want to announce my identity now. Elder Su doesn't have long to live. Although the Su clan's power isn't small, they don't have any other half-step Yuanying cultivators. As long as he dies, the Su clan's right to speak will be greatly weakened. I can quickly return to Blood Shadow's headquarters. With my abilities, I'll be able to enter the decision-making level once I return. At that time, the younger generation of our family can also infiltrate the headquarters. After being oppressed by Blood Shadow's headquarters for so many years, we can't let them have it easy. I want to turn Blood Shadow into our family's private property." Wang Daoyuan really did not expect that Zhou Wan could have such big ambitions. He didn't think it was a big deal for a woman to be ambitious. The most annoying thing was to use one's ambition against one's own family. It was a good thing to use it for one's own benefit. "What about me?" he asked. "I can't go to Blood Shadow's headquarters to accompany you, right? Besides, can you be at ease if I stay here alone?" Zhou Wan smiled and said, "After you got the corpse core, you didn't use it yourself but gave it to Shizhuan. I knew you wanted to leave Beiyuan Zhou Xian and make your way outside. There has to be someone overseeing Blood Shadow's side. If I leave with you, I'm afraid my family will suffer from Blood Shadow's endless revenge. I can only stay behind to watch over the family for you. But before you go, you must leave the children behind. One will inherit my position in Blood Shadow, while the other will stay in Qingli Commandery and inherit the title of Commandery King. The foundation that we've worked so hard to build must be inherited by our children. Once the children are able to take charge, I'll leave Beiyuan Zhou Xian to come find you. Alright, did you bring anything back for me this time?" Wang Daoyuan took out the books on dual cultivation and said with a smile, "Shizhuan is in a hurry to have a grand disciple, so she gave me some dual cultivation methods. These are all cultivation methods left behind by soul transformation and Yuanying cultivators. They're much more profound than the Cloud and Rain Heart Sutra." Before he had even finished speaking, he had already lifted her up and entered the room. The effects of the dual cultivation secret techniques left behind by the ancestors really were quite good. In just half a year, Zhou Wan broke through to late Golden Core. Her cultivation had always been about the same as Wang Daoyuan's. In this underground dwelling, she could also use the Scarlet Wan's flames of nirvana to obtain endless fire-attributed spiritual energy from the lava. Although her cultivation had broken through, she still could not stop cultivating. Another year passed. The two of them were currently eating hot pot by the spring in the backyard garden. This thing had already been restored by Wang Daoyuan a long time ago. The Wang family now had around 20 clansmen who were engaged in the path of spiritual chefs. They had also developed various variations of hot pot, making it a specialty of the Qingli Commandery. People came and went on the Wanchuan River. The dish of hot pot had also been spread to Linhai Province and Zhou Province. The two of them finished all the dishes on the table very quickly. Wang Daoyuan stood up and stretched. He said with a smile, "Hall head, why don't we continue cultivating?" With that he extended his hand. Zhou Xian slapped his hand away and said with a frown, "Why do I feel like my stomach doesn't feel too good?" Wang Daoyuan was rather nervous as well. Golden core cultivators did not have stomachaches. It was not very likely for them to be poisoned either. These things were all produced in the space of the spiritual pearl. Zhou Xian closed her eyes and inspected her body. A moment later her face lit up. "I think I'm pregnant." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. In his previous life he had always been a bachelor. In this life he had been childless for more than 200 years. He hurriedly said, "Really? Let me see." Zhou Xian said angrily, "Why would I lie to you? You're so careless. I just got pregnant. How can the child withstand your spiritual sense power?" Wang Daoyuan finally reacted and said with a smile, "I was too happy and forgot about this. This place is close to lava. The child might not be able to withstand it. How about we move to another place? It'll be fine before the child is born. We'll talk about it when the child is born. Is it a boy or a girl? I just got pregnant. Who can tell?" Wang Daoyuan took out the azure dragon pearl, extracted the life force inside, and gave it to Zhou Xian to refine. With enough life force, the probability of the child having spiritual roots would increase. If both parents were golden core cultivators, the child might not necessarily have spiritual roots. It was just that the probability of having spiritual roots was much higher. In Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian's case, the probability of the child having spiritual roots was between 80% and 90%. If both parents were yuanying, then the child would definitely have spiritual roots. Eating more spiritual fruits during pregnancy could also increase the probability of the child having spiritual roots. Wang Daoyuan didn't lack these things. Since then, the soul-chasing bee's royal jelly, dragon heart fruit, green spiritual peach and other spiritual fruits were freely available. Zhou Xian could eat as much as she wanted. The third and fourth level spiritual fruits in the spiritual pearl weren't ripe yet, but there were many spiritual fruits in the green willow secret realm. Wang Daoyuan ordered the people there to send fresh spiritual fruits every day. 3 months later, Zhou Xian's belly was already bulging. With enough spiritual food, the little girl's life force became more and more obvious. At this time she was almost like a newborn baby. With such strong life force, there was an 80% chance that she had spiritual roots. After taking out the azure dragon pearl and letting Zhou Xian refine a lot of life force, Wang Daoyuan smiled. "You'll be a father in 6 months. You're thinking too much. Human women do take 10 months to get pregnant, but I'm equivalent to a half-demon with phoenix blood. It might not necessarily take 10 months. It's common for women in the Zhou family to be pregnant for 1 or 2 years. Just wait." Wang Daoyuan wasn't disappointed. A golden core cultivator had a lifespan of 1,000 years. It didn't matter if he waited for 1 or 2 more years. However, the queen bee in the spiritual pearl was extremely dissatisfied. The royal jelly that she had stored for many years was all taken away by Wang Daoyuan. The newly brewed royal jelly was also all gone. Qingli Commandery didn't have any major issues. The only change was that the refined corpses of Shanbei attacked a few demon tribes in the northwest. Most of the low-level demons fled north or west. It didn't affect Shanbei at all. "I'm not in a hurry. Waiting a year or 2 is nothing. It's just that it's too tiring for you to manage the intelligence agency while you're pregnant. Why don't I manage it for you?" Zhou Xian pinched his waist a few more times. "You're thinking about the intelligence agency again. You want to flirt with other women? Don't even think about it." Wang Daoyuan hurriedly begged for mercy. "Please calm down, Hall Master. Don't affect the child." After staying in the underground cave for another 2 months, the 12th uncle sent news that the aquatic demons in the Wanchuan River were restless. 4th-level demons often appeared, but they didn't attack the Wanchuan market. Chapter 657. The aquatic beasts in the Wanchuan River were not a big problem. They did not attack the Wanchuan market, nor did they move towards the Qingli River. They could completely ignore them. If there were beasts that were not afraid of death, then they could be killed. The meat of rank 4 beasts was very nutritious. Zhou Xian was pregnant and needed some nourishment. The supplementary herbs for refining the gold formation pill had been gathered. There were also many planted in the space of the spirit pearl and in the green willow secret territory. If there were a few more death-seeking beasts, the gold formation pill would be enough. Now that he could not cultivate, It was time to try refining the gold formation pill. Before that, he would first refine the jade marrow essence enhancing pill. After his cultivation broke through to the late stage of the golden core realm, his divine sense also improved a lot. In addition, he cultivated the true dragon physical conditioning technique and absorbed the gift of heaven and earth from his master's yuanying heavenly tribulation. His physical body strengthened a lot. The physical body and the soul also complemented each other. If one of them became stronger, the other would also have some benefits. Now that his divine sense had improved a lot, refining pills was also more convenient. After refining 3 cauldrons of jade marrow essence enhancing pills, his success rate reached 60%. It was not difficult to refine a rank 4 intermediate pill at this level. Then he tried to refine a rank 4 intermediate gold formation pill. Although its grade was only a little higher than the jade marrow essence enhancing pill, the difficulty of refining it was not just a little higher. After all, the gold formation pill was a special type of pill. There were many kinds of supplementary herbs and more energy in the gold formation pill. When extracting the essence, it required a lot of spiritual power and divine sense to suppress the massive amount of spiritual power in it. With Wang Daoyuan's current cultivation, he could still deal with it. The specific refining method was not much different from refining the jade marrow essence enhancing pill. He just refined it step by step. The first cauldron was not bad. There were no problems extracting the essence of the gold formation pill and various spiritual herbs. Just as he was fusing the essence of dozens of spiritual herbs, a communication jade talisman in the universe ring suddenly emitted a wave of spiritual power. Wang Daoyuan was distracted, and the essence of the spiritual herbs that he was fusing emitted a violent wave of spiritual power. He tried his best to maintain it, but he still could not stabilize it. He could only draw out the spiritual fire and burn all the essences of the spiritual herbs. If his divine sense and spiritual power were not enough, the furnace might explode. Injuring himself was a small matter. Body refining cultivators wouldn't be seriously injured because of this little bit of power. However, it wouldn't be good if it scared Zhou Xian and the child. Under the burning of the spiritual fire, these spiritual herb essences were quickly turned into spiritual fire essence. A golden core of a demonic beast could be sold for at least a few million spirit stones, but it was destroyed just like that. With great difficulty, he suppressed the anger in his heart and picked up the jade talisman to check the contents of the message. The letter was from Lu Yuan, the guardian of Guyan Market. A few demon clans in the north of the mountain were attacked by refined corpses. There were rank 4 demonic beasts that died in battle, and demonic beasts below rank 4 suffered heavy losses as well. The surrounding demonic beasts were a little scared and wanted to ask Wang Daoyuan for help. Lu Yuan had also sent a letter previously. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not want to care about these trivial matters. What did it have to do with the human race if all the demons in the north of the mountain died? The more they died, the better. That way they could make room for the humans. He would let Lu Yuan wrangle with them. If they didn't accept any benefits and didn't give any promises, they could forget about taking action. However, he didn't expect that these rank 4 demonic beasts would be so bold as to threaten Lu Yuan. They even said that if the human race didn't help, they would give up their respective territories and launch a beast tide to attack the south of the mountain. Zhou Xian was pregnant for a few months and Wang Daoyuan was furious. Because these demonic beasts destroyed a cauldron of elixirs, his anger was ignited. He directly instructed Lu Yuan to clearly tell these demonic beasts that the Qingli County would not interfere in the affairs of the north of the mountain. If they dared to take action, their clans would be destroyed. After calming down, Wang Daoyuan continued refining elixirs. This time he was lucky. When he condensed the elixir, he successfully condensed a golden formation elixir. This was considered good. The golden formation elixir was different from ordinary elixirs. Ordinary elixirs would have at most 10 elixirs in a cauldron, but there were far fewer golden formation elixirs. The golden core of an early stage rank 4 demonic beast could at most produce 3 golden formation elixirs. This didn't mean that the spiritual power contained in a demonic beast's golden core was 3 times that of a human's golden core. The golden formation elixir didn't provide spiritual power for the cultivator to form his golden core. It was just a catalyst. The spiritual power of a cultivator's golden core was mainly absorbed from the outside world. This was also the reason why cultivators with heavenly spirit roots could definitely form their golden core. The golden core that Wang Daoyuan used was from the gray bear that came to join in the fun when the 12th uncle formed his golden core. That gray bear only had an inferior grade rank 4 cultivation and could produce 3 golden formation elixirs at most. The success rate of producing 1 golden formation elixir was more than 30%. In this way, Wang Daoyuan was also a true mid-grade rank 4 elixir refinement master. The rest of the work was to slowly nurture the elixir. After condensing the spirit accumulation elixir pattern, he would place it in the fire eye and slowly nurture it for 2 months. Fifth great uncle's current cultivation was very close to the pinnacle of the Purple Mansion realm. Once he reached the pinnacle of the Purple Mansion realm, he would be sent to the Myriad Rivers Market to receive guidance from the 12th uncle on the power of laws. His Purple Mansion anomaly was the same as the 12th uncle's, and his cultivation technique was also the overturned sea art. It would be best for him to receive guidance from the 12th uncle. It was estimated that 5th great uncle would be able to form his golden core within 10 years. He was a cultivator with 3 spirit roots, and his main spirit root was the 7-inch water spirit root. Such talent was considered good, and the success rate of forming his golden core was about 50%. The golden formation elixir could increase the success rate of forming his golden core by 20%. Adding all of them together, it could increase the success rate of forming his golden core by about 70%. The probability of a problem occurring with the golden formation elixir was extremely low, and this elixir was basically a success. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan received another message from Lu Yuan. It said that a few rank 4 demonic beasts were causing trouble in the Qingli County's shop in the returning wild goose market. Among them, there were even demonic beasts that wanted to attack the guardian residence. Wang Daoyuan cursed angrily, "This bunch of reckless beasts." Zhou Xian walked over and comforted him. "My intelligence agency also sent news that there are demonic beasts causing trouble in the returning wild goose market. They're just a bunch of uncivilized beasts, there's no need to be angry over them." Zhou Xian was pregnant, and no matter how serious the matter was, she could not get angry in front of him. He restrained his anger. "What kind of demonic beast does Hall Master want to eat?" "I'll go to Shanbei and slaughter a rank 4 demonic beast." Zhou Xian smiled. "Then let's have a bear paw." "Please wait for a moment, Hall Master. I'll go to Shanbei and slaughter a black bear." With that, he condensed a ball of red sun true fire in his hand, carried the pill furnace and rode a cloud towards Shanbei. The golden formation elixir in the furnace had already formed. If there was a problem and the elixir was destroyed, it would be a huge loss. Bringing the pill furnace with him would allow him to remedy any problems in time. When he arrived in the sky above the returning wild goose market, he saw a bunch of demonic beasts scurrying around. The itinerant cultivators had already fled this place and all the shops were closed. The southern part of the returning wild goose market used to be the territory of the Netherworld sect, and now it naturally became the property of the Qingli Commandery. Most of the demonic beasts were looking for trouble here. Among them there were 5 rank 4 demonic beasts, 3 rank 4 middle grade and 2 rank 4 low grade. Among them, 2 rank 4 middle grade demonic beasts were attacking the defensive formation of the guardian residence. Of course, they did not really attack and were only scaring the cultivators inside. The demonic beasts looked at the terrified expressions of the cultivators inside the guardian residence, and let out excited roars. Coincidentally, one of the 2 rank 4 middle grade demonic beasts was a black bear. Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to shout and directly took out the white tiger blade, using the sword shadow divine light technique. 10 sword shadows attacked the black bear. This black bear did not have any higher level demonic beast bloodline, and being able to cultivate to rank 4 middle grade was already a blessing from the heavens. In terms of strength, it was only SOSO. Before it could react to the 10 sword shadows flying over, its huge bear head moved. Wang Daoyuan used the tiger roar soul subduing technique and roared, "Scram!" The 4 rank 4 demonic beasts that were still alive were stunned at that moment. The rank 3 demonic beasts were so scared that they lay on the ground, and some were so scared that they lost control of their bowels. In a moment, the streets of the market were filled with feces and urine. Wang Daoyuan continued, "A bunch of reckless things, why are you destroying the property of my Qingli Commandery?" Chapter 658. At this moment, the 4 rank 4 demonic beasts finally reacted. Looking at the black bear that was killed by Wang Daoyuan, they were furious. They bared their fangs and claws wanting to attack Wang Daoyuan. But thinking of the roar from before, they hesitated. That roar stunned them for nearly a breath of time. In a battle between golden core cultivators, life and death were decided in less than half a breath. If Wang Daoyuan could stun them for a breath of time, he had the strength to kill them. Just as they were in a dilemma, a white-robed man with a snow-white horn on his head flew out of a restaurant in the north of returning Wild Goose Market. He sneered. Daoyu went a little overboard. My demon race's men are a little reckless. But you killed a mid-grade 4th rank Yao with just one move. You're looking down on us, Yao clan. This demon had an upper-grade rank 4 cultivation and emitted a faint dragon's aura. He should be a dragon. However, the dragon's horn was a single horn, and the concentration of dragon blood was not high. At most, he was a snake that had turned into a flood dragon. His entire body was cold and oppressive. He should be a dragon from the extreme zero ice plains. Compared to human cultivators, a dragon of this level was only a stronger third-rate golden core cultivator or a weaker second-rate golden core cultivator. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength, if he didn't use a small ability, killing him wouldn't affect his pill refining. This Daoyu should be from the extreme zero ice plains, right? If I go to the extreme zero ice plains and attack your spiritual mountain, what will you do? With the demon race's character, if someone dared to provoke them, they would definitely be killed. But the white-robed man didn't dare to say this. Otherwise, if Wang Daoyuan killed all 4 rank 4 demonic beasts, he wouldn't be able to say anything. He could only change his attitude and smile. My demon race is indeed in the wrong. Please let them go, Dao. The demon race feared power and didn't respect virtue. If he let it go, they would definitely go from bad to worse. Humans weren't the only ones who took advantage of others. The demon race was even better at doing this. Moreover, this group of people were the standard bullies who feared the strong. If they admitted defeat now, they would think that the humans were afraid of them. Wang Daoyuan sneered. You make it sound so easy. I was refining tier 4 medicinal pills in my cave. These reckless beasts threatened to attack Shannon. I was so angry that I destroyed a cauldron of pills. As soon as the second batch of pills were formed, they dared to directly attack. I had no choice but to bring the pill furnace here. Who will compensate for my losses? This time the demons were in the wrong. The white-robed man could only smile apologetically. These juniors were too reckless. I, Frost Flood Dragon, apologize on their behalf. I hope that Lord Daoyu will be magnanimous and let them go this time. As for the losses, what does Daoyu want as compensation? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, if that's the case, then take the dead bear's corpse as compensation. I'll pretend that this never happened. Although Han Jiao was a little dissatisfied, he didn't want to continue arguing. After all, the black bear wasn't his family. He cupped his hands and said, I can agree to this matter. However, these juniors have their reasons for causing trouble. They were threatened by the refined corpses. When they heard that Daoyu could restrain the refined corpses, they wanted Daoyu to help them. However, Daoyu didn't give them an accurate reply, so they were a little anxious. Wang Daoyuan's face was full of disdain. So they attacked my business because they were anxious? So I went too far and they had no choice but to do it? If they had the ability, why didn't they attack the refined corpses? The place where the refined corpses attacked is more than 10,000 miles away from Mount Huiyan. What does it have to do with me? When Shanbei was peaceful, we humans were suppressed when we did business in Shanbei. Now that they have difficulties, they want me to be the scapegoat. They don't have any benefits for us humans, but they think of us when they have difficulties. The demon's wishful thinking is really good. I can't be bothered with your business in Shanbei, so don't bother me anymore. Otherwise, it won't be a problem that can be solved with a corpse. Han Jiao wanted to talk nicely and get Wang Daoyuan to agree to help. Now that Wang Daoyuan made it clear, he was furious. Daoyu planned to stay out of this. If we can't protect Shanbei, then we demons don't mind taking over some land in Shanbei. Wang Daoyuan's face was full of disdain. If you have the ability, why don't you dare to fight the refined corpses? Or do you think I'm easier to bully than the refined corpses? If we really fight, all the demons here won't live for more than half a cup of tea's time, including you. If you were a natural flood dragon, you might be able to fight me. A snake turning into a flood dragon, If you're not convinced, you can ask the old dragons of the frozen ice plains to help. I'll also ask my master Lei Yanzhenren to help. I just don't know if a few level 4 flood dragons can deal with the Yuanyin cultivators. Han Jiao heard Wang Daoyuan despise his bloodline and wanted to attack immediately. However, when he heard Lei Yanzhenren, his impulse disappeared. Although there were many dragon species in the frozen ice plains, none of them were level 5. No matter how strong the dragon species' abilities were, they couldn't beat the Yuanying cultivators. Furthermore, Lei Yanzhenren had abilities. Even 10,000 years ago, such a person was not to be trifled with. He held back for a long time and only said one sentence. If Daoyu doesn't want to help, don't regret it in the future. With that, he turned and flew away from Guiyan Market. Seeing him run away, the other demons naturally didn't dare to attack and left the southern area of Guiyan Market. Wang Daoyuan kept the black bear's corpse on the ground and transmitted his voice to Lu Yuan, who was in the guardian residence. Carry on with Guiyan Market as usual. With that, he rode a cloud back to Jade Spring Peak. After killing a mid-level level 4 black bear, his anger from destroying a cauldron of pills had dissipated. A mid-level level 4 demon beast's golden core could at most produce 4 golden formation pills in one cauldron. When his alchemy skills improved, it wasn't impossible to produce 2 golden formation pills in one cauldron. After returning to Jade Spring Peak, Wang Daoyuan immediately went to the underground cave and placed the cauldron on the fire eye. He used his divine sense to replenish the consumption of the spirit accumulation pill pattern. The red yang primordial fire's firepower was too overbearing and wasn't suitable for nourishing pills. The golden formation pill in the cauldron was already unstable. If it took too long, this cauldron of pills would be ruined. What was the price of a golden formation pill? Even if it wasn't 10 million spirit stones, there would definitely be people fighting to buy it if it was priced at 7 to 8 million spirit stones. The cauldron landed on the fire eye. Under Wang Daoyuan's adjustment, the pills quickly stabilized. Zhou Wan walked up and smiled. I really couldn't tell. You're usually as timid as a mouse, but you do have some ways to scare those demon beasts. That frost serpent is famous for being overbearing and not weak. Other than the descendants of those old dragons, it doesn't care about anyone else. I didn't expect it to be subdued by you. Wang Daoyuan proudly said, do you still need to ask? Don't you know who your husband is? A serpent of the same level that transformed into a flood dragon can kill him like killing a chicken. Go back to the backyard and rest. When the bear paw is done, I'll send it to you. Zhou Wan obediently went back to the backyard. Wang Daoyuan left the underground cave and asked 8th sister to help him make the bear paw. Although he remembered many dishes in his previous life, he really didn't eat bear paw and didn't cook often. If he did it himself, it would be a waste of ingredients. It was better to leave it to an expert. Wang Daoyuan quickly carried a huge tray and returned to the underground cave. On the tray was a 3-meter-long bear paw. The bear paw of a middle-grade 4th-rank black bear was a bit bigger. After entering the cave, he shouted, Hall Master, your steamed bear paw is here. He put the bear paw on the table in the boudoir. Zhou Wan took out a 4th-rank magic sword, cut a large piece of meat and ate it. She said while eating, 8th sister's cooking is really good. After being pregnant, her foodie nature became more and more obvious. Wang Daoyuan was glad that he had a space in his spiritual pearl. Otherwise, he couldn't afford to raise such a wife. 2 months later, the gold formation pill in the furnace finally stabilized. He put away the fire control pill pattern and the spirit accumulation pill pattern, and then opened the lid of the furnace. A strong medicinal fragrance spread out. Even Wang Daoyuan, a late-stage gold core cultivator, felt that this thing was very beneficial to improving his cultivation. He took out the gold formation pill and saw that it was golden. After all, it was refined from a gold core monster, and the spiritual power fluctuations in it were a bit like a gold core. Since they could refine the gold formation pill, the Wang family had a way to become a first-class force. Chapter 659. The medicinal fragrance of the Xianxia pill drifted everywhere, and naturally, it couldn't be hidden from Zhou Wan. She walked out of the cave, looked at the Xianxia pill and praised, You're really capable. You even succeeded in refining the Xianxia pill. Zhou Wan had been pregnant for more than 10 months, and her belly was bulging. The little guy also began to be restless and often made some noise. It seemed that they didn't need to wait for 2 years. Wang Daoyuan quickly stepped forward to support her. Hall Master, you can't even see your toes. Be careful. Don't fall. If you want to walk, tell me. Although she usually couldn't see her toes, it was even more obvious now. I'm a golden core cultivator. How can I be so delicate? Wang Daoyuan echoed, Hallmaster, you're right. You'd better go back to your room and rest first. Zhou Wan didn't insist. She was helped back to the room. She sat on the bed and said, since you can refine the Xianxia pill before you leave Beiyuan, you have to prepare all the cultivation resources for our child. In addition to the Yin-Yang purple jade and the Xianxia pill, you also have to keep the medicinal pills, honey and hidden cloud tea. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, you're going to be a mother. It's different. You start to think about your child. Hallmaster, don't worry. I got more than 10 pieces of Yin-Yang purple jade from the branch in the Valley of Beasts. There are also 4 golden cores of demonic beasts, and they are all in the middle and late stage of the 4th rank. It won't be a problem to refine 7 or 8 Xianxia pills. In the next few months, Wang Daoyuan didn't refine pills or cultivate. He just chatted with Zhou Wan all day long. Half a year later, when the two were chatting, Zhou Wan's face suddenly changed. She lay on the bed alone and said painfully, the child is about to be born. Wang Daoyuan knew nothing about midwifery, but there were still some experts in the family. His 8th sister had given birth to 5 or 6 children, so she had experience in this field. At this time he didn't dare to move Zhou Wan easily. He immediately transmitted a message to 8th sister, come to my underground cave residence immediately. It's urgent. 8th sister was teaching a group of family disciples the way of spirit cooking when she suddenly received a message. Wang Daoyuan said that it was extremely urgent. This was a huge matter for the entire Qingli prefecture. 8th sister did not dare to delay and immediately flew to the underground cave. Seeing Wang Daoyuan, he asked, 7th brother, what's the big deal? Wang Daoyuan said anxiously, your 7th sister-in-law is about to give birth. You have to help her deliver the baby. He was a little confused. After all, she had never heard of 7th sister-in-law. However, seeing how anxious Wang Daoyuan was, he didn't ask any further and walked straight into the house. This place was too close to the lava. Any cultivator below the golden core stage would feel uncomfortable staying here, let alone a newborn child. Wang Daoyuan opened a small magical power and transformed the fire spiritual power in the cave residence into a non-attributed spiritual power. Then he began to arrange an array to isolate the heat of the lava, so that the environment in the cave residence could be endured by ordinary people. After the array was arranged, he put the imperial magic pendant in the delivery room. This thing was made of mysterious ice jade and could effectively resist the heat. After doing all this, he was driven out by 8th sister. He couldn't help with this matter, so he could only wait in the backyard garden. Although cultivators didn't have to worry about life danger when giving birth to a child, he was extremely nervous when he was a father for the first time. From time to time, Zhou Wan's painful moans came out from the room, which made him anxious. After Wang Daoyuan broke through to the late golden core stage, his spiritual awareness cultivation had been improved a lot. His understanding of the power of law had also deepened, and the duration of his small magical power had also improved. Now he could maintain it for about an hour. But after half an hour, the room was still filled with Zhou Wan's moans and 8th sister's busy voice. He didn't dare to close the small magical power. Otherwise, the child couldn't stand it when the fire spiritual power rushed up. He had to take a drop of the 7-leaf ghost-faced flower's dew and continue to persist. More than 12 hours later, there was a loud cry in the room. Wang Daoyuan immediately probed with his spiritual awareness. The little guy was about 1.5 feet long. 8th sister was clever and had already dealt with the child's umbilical cord. Then she took the child out of the room and said with a smile, congratulations, 7th brother, you have a successor. Your nephew's vitality is stronger than a 1-year-old child. He must have a spiritual root. When Zhou Wan was 4 or 5 months pregnant, she already knew that it was a boy. However, he was still very excited and quickly took the child. The little guy was quite heavy, about 8 or 9 kilograms. His face shape was more like Wang Daoyuan's, but his facial features hadn't fully developed yet. He looked more like Zhou Wan. Wang Daoyuan took out a few elixir bottles and said with a smile, 8th sister, thank you for your hard work. Only 5th uncle, 12th uncle and 3rd brother know about your 7th sister-in-law. Don't spread it out. 8th sister took the elixir bottles and said with a smile, don't worry, I won't say anything. By the way, the child needs to be breastfed later. Do you want to find a wet nurse? Wang Daoyuan shook his head, don't worry, I have a way. Although he didn't feed a child in his previous life, he still knew about milk powder and had prepared before. He only needed to feed the child for a few days and Zhou Xian could feed the child herself. Eighth sister told him some things to pay attention to and flew out on her sword. Wang Daoyuan walked into the room with the child and saw that Zhou Xian's face was a little pale. However, her spirit was still good, and the joy on her face couldn't be concealed. "Let me see the child." Wang Daoyuan put the child beside her, then took out some milk powder made from rabbit milk and brewed it with spiritual spring water. After the little guy finished eating, he quickly fell asleep. Then Wang Daoyuan took Zhou Xian and the child to the cave residence by the Jade Dragon Stream. As soon as the cave residence was set up, Zhou Xian quickly said, "Let's see if the child has a spiritual root." Golden core cultivators could perceive the subtle changes in spiritual aura. When the child was just born, they could judge whether the child had a spiritual root or not. Wang Daoyuan condensed a thin mass of spiritual aura, which contained the spiritual aura of the 5 elements. He wrapped the little guy in the mass of spiritual aura and isolated it from the outside world. People with spiritual roots could absorb a very small amount of spiritual aura on their own even if they didn't cultivate in their lifetime. Therefore, people with spiritual roots generally had a much stronger physique than ordinary people. After a dozen breaths, the fire element spiritual aura in the mass of spiritual aura decreased a little, but the other elements of spiritual aura didn't change. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "This child has a spiritual root, and it's a fire element spiritual root. As for whether he has a heavenly spiritual root or a special physique, I can't tell for now." Zhou Wan's face was full of joy. "The child is more like me. I have a special physique. How can the child be bad? What are you going to name the child? He's the eldest son of the county king. You can't call him Dewa, Erwa or something like that, right?" "I've already thought of a proper name. He'll be called Wang Mingchen. His nickname is fine. Doggy is good. A lowly name is easy to raise. When we have another child in the future, he'll be called Air Go Z. Thinking about it, when he cultivates to the golden core stage, we can call him Taoist Master Go Z." Zhou Wan's face was full of contempt. "It's really good, Taoist Master Erwa." Wang Daoyuan pretended to be angry. "You dare to talk to your husband like that? When you recover, I'll take care of you slowly. There aren't many people who know my nickname. How did you know it? Could it be that you've been plotting against me for a long time?" Zhou Wan spat. "Who's plotting against you? It's all information collected later. With the intelligence power of my subordinates, I can clearly find out when you don't wet the bed. The last time you wet the bed was..." Wang Daoyuan immediately gave in. "Hall Master, please be merciful and forgive me. Can't your intelligence personnel investigate some serious matters?" Zhou Wan was a little sad. "My mother died early. My father was killed by Elder Su's people. I have no other relatives. I was exiled to the north of the mountain and was bullied by that bitch Xiandiao for more than 100 years. I don't even have a person to rely on. It's not easy to find someone like you who can rely on. Unfortunately, you're a bad guy who attracts flies. I don't want to go back to the past. Naturally, I have to keep an eye on you. Now that I have a child, even if you're seduced away by a vixen, I can still rely on the child." Chapter 660. Wang Daoyuan could understand Zhou Wan's mentality. From a genius in the limelight, her family was ruined. She was exiled to Shanbei, built a business from scratch and was picked by the Black Sable. He helped her win over a lot of people, tricked the Black Sable and fooled Elder Su. Zhou Wan was somewhat dependent on him, so she was very jealous. Plus, after giving birth, she was always worried about gains and losses. Wang Daoyuan quickly took her into his arms and comforted her. "If it weren't for the help of the hall leader, I wouldn't be where I am today. No vixen can compare to a good wife like you." These were not all words to comfort her. The intelligence agency controlled by Zhou Wan provided a lot of help to Wang Daoyuan. Hearing this, Zhou Wan felt a little better. 3 days later, Zhou Wan wanted to breastfeed Wang Mingchen, and Wang Daoyuan had no intention of avoiding it. Zhou Wan glanced at him. "What are you looking at? Do you want to snatch food from your son?" "I'm just afraid of bursting the child. After all, you are a cultivator in the later stage of the Jindan realm, and your milk is comparable to natural treasures. Can the dog stand it?" Zhou Wan glared at him. In the ancient times, there were female cultivators who gave birth to children in the divinity realm, and I didn't see any bursting of the child. You talk too much nonsense. Get out. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to make her angry, so he left obediently. After breastfeeding, Wang Mingqian's body grew very fast. Especially the strength of his muscles and bones far exceeded that of his peers. In addition, Wang Daoyuan often used the Tsang Dragon Pearl to replenish his vitality, so he could walk slowly in 5 or 6 months. His strength and intelligence also reached the level of a 1 or 2-year-old child, but he hadn't learned to speak yet. After learning how to walk, the little guy had an extremely strong interest in fire. As soon as he had the chance, he wanted to run out of the cave and run to the earth fire room in the southeast. In order to prevent him from running out, Wang Daoyuan had no choice but to set up a simple blocking array at the entrance of the Immortal cave. At this time, Wang Mingqian was punching and kicking the blocking array at the door, saying a language that no one could understand. Zhou Xian was a little worried. Daoyuan, do you think our son has a special constitution? It had only been 6 months and he was already thinking of running to the earth fire room. When he gets older, I won't be able to control him anymore. Wang Daoyuan nodded. That should be it. Doggy's physical fitness is far better than that of ordinary children, and his appetite is especially big. Don't worry, I don't have anything important to do now, I'll just watch him. He's just a little brat who's not even half a year old. What can he do under our noses? Wang Mingqian tried to attack the array formation for a while, but found that he couldn't break the array formation with his little ability. She ran back to Wang Daoyuan's side, hugged his leg and acted like a spoiled child. Zhou Xian smiled and said, "This boy is really like you. He's so smart at such a young age." Wang Daoyuan picked up his son. "It's good to be smart. You won't be taken advantage of." At this time, a communication jade talisman in his universe ring lit up. He took out the jade talisman and checked it. It was a message from the 12th uncle. The message said that many 4th-rank demonic beasts had appeared in the Wanchuan River, and most of them were going against the current. A few demonic beasts were wandering around the Wanchuan market. Now the 12th uncle had activated the defensive array to prevent the demonic beasts from attacking the market. Zhou Xian also received the message from the intelligence agency soon, and the content was similar. Wang Daoyuan was a little confused. What's going on these years? The demonic beasts in the Wanchuan River are so active. I've lived for more than 240 years, and I've never heard of such a situation before. Hall Master, did this happen in the records of Blood Shadow? Zhou Xian said without hesitation, I saw similar records when I was investigating the dragon species for you. It should be related to the spiritual energy tide in the Qianlong River of the Zhou country. The next tide should be within a year. Every time there is a spiritual energy tide, there will be many aquatic demonic beasts going against the current. It's just that in the past, only 3rd-rank upper-grade demonic beasts participated. They wanted to use the rich spiritual energy during the tide to break through. 3rd-rank upper-grade demonic beasts are not strong enough, so they don't dare to be too arrogant when they go against the current. It's normal that you didn't notice it. As for a large number of 4th-rank demonic beasts going against the current, it hasn't happened for more than 10,000 years. Wang Daoyuan said in a low voice, so these 4th-rank demonic beasts are probably going for the spiritual energy tide in the Qianlong River. 3rd-rank demonic beasts can fight for a chance to break through there, but why would 4th-rank demonic beasts go there? Could there be 5th-rank spiritual energy there for them to break through? Then he shook his head again. I went to kill the dragon species during the last spiritual energy tide in the Qianlong River. Although the spiritual energy had reached the limit of 4th rank at that time. But this last layer of window paper isn't so easy to pierce through. Even if 5th-rank spiritual energy appears, it won't be for too long. What can it do in such a short time? Zhou Xian said with a smile, there's an 80% chance that 5th-rank spiritual energy will appear. These years, the concentration of spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xian has been slowly increasing. Although there's still some distance to the appearance of a 5th-rank spiritual vein, the Qianlong River's spiritual energy tide will always have a concentration higher than that of the entire cultivation world. If 5th-rank spiritual energy appears, even if it can't support their advancement, they can still absorb the power of law. It can allow ordinary 4th-rank upper-grade demonic beasts to have the strength of a half-step Yuanying human cultivator. Demonic beasts are more sensitive to the outside world than humans. There's an 80% chance that they found something. Wang Daoyuan nodded. If that's the case, I really have to go and join in the fun. I can use a Dharma artifact to absorb some 5th-rank spiritual energy and improve my understanding of the law. He mainly wanted to borrow the 5th-rank spiritual energy to upgrade the spiritual pearls space. If he could really make the spiritual pearls space produce a 5th-rank spiritual vein and cultivate some 5th-rank spiritual creatures, he could definitely cultivate a Yuanying cultivator. After saying that, he handed Wang Mingchen to Zhou Xian. I'll go to Wanchuan Market to take a look and kill a few 4th-rank demonic beasts that are alone. Zhou Xian didn't have any objections. She took Wang Mingchen and reminded him, be careful. Water-type demonic beasts are not to be trifled with. Don't force yourself. Don't worry. With Guzi, I won't dare to take risks like before. After saying that, he left the cave abode and flew south on a cloud. Wang Mingchen watched his father leave and struggled to follow. Zhou Xian snorted coldly. You're as heartless as your father. Wang Daoyuan soon arrived at Wanchuan Market. The defensive array here was extremely weak. If the person controlling the array was a water-type cultivator, he could borrow the power of the array to attack with Dharma spells. However, because the offensive power of the array itself was too weak, it didn't have much of an effect on strengthening Dharma spells. At this moment, the 12th uncle activated the defensive array and stayed in the market obediently. All transactions in Wanchuan Market were stopped. No one was allowed to enter or leave. The few important array cores in the market were also guarded by cultivators from the guardian residence. Although this was a little cowardly, at least the demonic beasts wouldn't succeed in sneak attacks. Prince Qingli's residence was located in Wanchuan Market. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't usually stay here, the organization was still complete. There were many cultivators stationed here and it was more than enough to defend. Wang Daoyuan didn't plan to enter the market and hid outside. If any water-type demonic beasts dared to cause trouble, he could also kill them. This was to avoid causing too much commotion and attracting a large number of demonic beasts. The 4th-tier upper-grade demonic beasts went against the flow to try their luck. The rest of the demonic beasts were jumping up and down on the surface of the river, as if they were the king of the mountain when the tiger was absent. Wanchuan Market was a water transportation hub that connected Linhai State and the hinterland of Zhao State. Now that they couldn't do business, they were losing large amounts of spirit stones every day. Wang Daoyuan wouldn't be happy if he didn't kill a few demonic beasts to make up for his losses. After waiting outside Wanchuan Market for a few days, he encountered a reckless fellow. This was a 4th-tier mid-grade crab. It should have passed the transformation heavenly tribulation, but its human form was a little out of place. Its 2 hands were still big pincers and its body was round, very similar to a crab's body. Other demonic beasts wouldn't stay in one place for too long, but this fellow kept loitering around Wanchuan Market. Chapter 661. Looking at the crab's 2 big pincers, Wang Daoyuan was really a little greedy. Although he had eaten many kinds of demonic beasts and spiritual fish in this life, he rarely ate crabs. It was his first time seeing a 4th-rank crab. This crab was also quite sneaky. It dawdled in the river close to the Wanchuan Market for more than 10 days and did not make a move. At this time, the 4th-rank upper-grade demonic beasts had already left, leaving only some 4th-rank lower-grade demonic beasts to play around. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to go deep into the water to kill it. If he could not kill it instantly and attracted other demonic beasts, it would be troublesome. No matter how strong he was afraid of being besieged. In the case of using a small ability, he could fight 4 or 5 4th-rank mid-grade demonic beasts. But if there were more, there would be no other way. Anyway, there was nothing else to do, so he could slowly wait. After waiting for half a month, the big crab finally could not hold back. It came to the shallow water and began to attack the defensive formation. This big crab's magic was not bad. With a wave of its pincers, a large amount of river water formed a monstrous wave that slammed towards the Wanchuan Market. The defensive formation of the Wanchuan Market had a good defensive power. The entire market was like an indestructible reef. No matter how strong the wind and waves were, it would not move. Seeing that the huge wave could not shake the defensive formation, the big crab no longer wasted its spiritual power. After dispersing the monstrous wave, a crab pincer suddenly became bigger. The pincer opened and enveloped the entire market. Then the pincer suddenly closed, wanting to crush the defensive formation. Unfortunately, it overestimated its own strength. When the pincer came down, the defensive light barrier only trembled a few times. It stretched out the other pincer and attacked the formation together. Wang Daoyuan was waiting for this opportunity. He took out the white tiger blade and 10 sword shadows formed, attacking the weakest point between the pincer and the body. Realizing that it was being attacked, the crab's reaction was quite fast. It immediately retracted its pincers and revealed its original form, a 3-foot-long greenish-black crab. It turned around and used its back to block the sword shadows. The crab's shell was very sturdy, and the 10 sword shadows could not break its defense. Wang Daoyuan did not stay idle. He used the black tortoise purgatory to wrap the entire crab inside. Before it could react, the black tortoise purgatory rose high into the air and left the river. Moreover, this time the black tortoise purgatory was no longer composed of water element spiritual energy, but black-colored flames. The crab's consciousness couldn't penetrate the black tortoise purgatory to control the water of the Thousand Rivers River. After being isolated from the water, the crab's strength was only average. Relying on its powerful physique, it rampaged through the black tortoise purgatory. Unfortunately, Wang Daoyuan's black tortoise purgatory could not even be broken by a second-rate Jindan master, so what could Li Shui's rank 4 mid-grade crab do? The black tortoise purgatory shrunk rapidly, burning the crab's body. The crab immediately begged for mercy, but Wang Daoyuan remained unmoved. He used his spiritual energy to defend himself, but unfortunately the water element defensive light shield was quickly ignited. The giant crab cursed as its soul was burned away. However, its body was completely undamaged. Its hard shell was able to withstand the sword shadow divine light technique, so it could be used to refine defensive magic tools. At this time, other aquatic monsters wanted to take advantage of the situation. Wang Daoyuan scattered the shrunken black tortoise purgatory into the Thousand Rivers River. Black flames ignited within 100 miles of the river. The monsters fled in all directions. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "If you dare to attack the Thousand Rivers Market again, I will kill you all." None of the monsters dared to respond. Wang Daoyuan then put away the gui water death flames that covered the river. The spiritual energy in the flames, apart from being absorbed by himself, was integrated into the space of the spirit bead. Extracting more spiritual energy from the outside world could also improve the grade of the spirit veins in the space. The monsters fled, not daring to have any ideas about the Thousand Rivers Market. The 12th uncle also closed the defensive formation, and the shops in the market began to gradually recover. Wang Daoyuan entered the county king's mansion, which was the original guardian mansion. The 12th uncle came out to greet him. "Daoyuan, your strength is becoming more and more frightening. You can kill a mid-grade 4th rank monster so easily. I have a lot of spirit wine stored in the Thousand Rivers Market. Let's have a good drink." Wang Daoyuan took out a bottle of jade marrow vitality-enhancing pills. "Zhou Xian just gave birth and caught a big guy. I can go back and nourish her, so I won't accompany you to drink. Here are 3 jade marrow vitality-enhancing pills. You can use them for cultivation." The 12th uncle also had a happy expression. He hurriedly asked, "How is my little grandnephew's talent?" "Single spirit root. I can't be sure if it's a heavenly spirit root, but it seems he has a special constitution." "Then it's definitely a heavenly spirit root. With a special constitution, our Wang family has produced another genius. The clear glass commandery finally has a successor." After chatting with the 12th uncle for a while, Wang Daoyuan rode a cloud back to the Jade Spring Mountain. In the space of the Spirit Pearl, Tu Yuming had already finished dealing with the large crab. The monster's golden core was properly stored away. The crab's body was also dissected. The 2 crab pincers were already cooked. Returning to the cave, Zhou Xian was feeding Wang Mingchen. Wang Daoyuan also watched from the side. Zhou Xian rebuked, "What are you looking at? You killed a mid-grade 4th rank crab and didn't bring back anything for me?" He took out the 2 pincers. "It's not like I haven't seen it before. What's there to be embarrassed about? These 2 pincers are already cooked. Eat them first." He gave the 2 pincers to Zhou Xian while he carried Wang Mingchen. This little guy was still not full and kept burrowing into his clothes. Wang Daoyuan drew out a strand of scarlet Yuan nirvana flame from the space of the spirit pearl, which attracted the little guy's attention. Wang Mingchen was indeed good at playing with fire. When he saw the flame, his eyes could not move away and he even wanted to reach out to grab it. After teasing him for a while, he received a message from the 12th uncle. It turned out that the Zhou nation had sent a letter to ask for help from Wang Daoyuan. In the entire Wanchuan River basin, most of the high-grade 4th-rank aquatic monsters had gathered near the mouth of the hidden Dragon River. There were still 2 to 3 months before the spirit energy tide. With a large group of monsters gathered in one place, it would be strange if they did not cause trouble. The strength of the Zhou clan alone was not enough to intimidate the monsters. Once they caused trouble, the Zhou nation would definitely suffer heavy losses. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Looks like I have to make a trip to the Zhou nation to help my brother-in-law." Zhou Luan said as she ate, "It's the same whether you go or not. The Zhou nation has already asked for help from the 4 top forces. The 4 top forces were ordered by the ancient mighty to protect the human race. When human forces are besieged by demons, they naturally will not stand by and watch. There's already a letter from the other side. My brother-in-law is in trouble. As his brother-in-law, it's not appropriate for me to not help. The Zhou nation is in a critical situation. Master should also go. With Master around, I won't be in any danger. Tell me, as a son-in-law, how can my family not express their gratitude? Why don't you come with me? You can bring the child and get more benefits." Zhou Luan looked at him disdainfully. A dignified county king, an expert ranked below the half-step yuanying, is only so promising. When you go out to help, you only want to extort others. Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, "A mountain can reach its height without turning its back on an inch of land. The sea can reach its greatness without turning its back on a trickle. Didn't the family save up bit by bit to achieve what it is today? We can't not cheat just because there are few things. As long as we work hard, we can still save up a lot of money." Zhou Luan was amused by his words. "You speak so eloquently about extortion. I'm afraid Mingchen will learn bad things from you. You should go to the Zhou nation by yourself. I'll stay at home to take care of Mingchen." The Zhou nation's matter was not urgent. He stayed at home to accompany Zhou Luan and the child for a few more days before leaving for the Zhou nation. He first went to the Wanchuan market. The huge crab he killed previously was quite a deterrent. Now, no rank 4 demon beasts dared to show up on the river near the Wanchuan market. The market's business also recovered a little. After greeting the 12th uncle, he went upstream along the Wanchuan River and went straight to the mouth of the Qianlong River. About 1,000 miles away from the Wanchuan market, rank 4 demon beasts showed up. The closer he got to the mouth of the Qianlong River, the more demon beasts there were. 10 days later, he arrived near the mouth of the Qianlong River. The river here was crowded with demon beasts. Human cultivators did not dare to come close. Wang Daoyuan also felt a familiar aura. Master had arrived. Chapter 662. At this moment, Taoist Thunderflame Emperor Zhou and the others were on a mountain more than 300 miles south of the hidden Dragon River. Wang Daoyuan flew over on a cloud. There were some palace-like buildings on the mountain which looked like Emperor Zhou's palace. As soon as he arrived near the mountain, Zhou Jingyuan came out to greet him. He landed on the mountain and patted Zhou Jingyuan's shoulder, transmitting his voice, "Nephew, you're indeed a talent." Zhou Jingyuan's face darkened, but he didn't say anything and just led the way. The two entered the main hall. There were only 3 people in the hall. Emperor Zhou and Taoist Thunderflame sat side by side, while Lord Riverglance sat on the left. Seeing the two enter, Emperor Zhou smiled. "Brother-in-law, you're here? Please take a seat." Wang Daoyuan bowed to Taoist Thunderflame. "Greetings, Master." Taoist Master Lei Yan nodded his head. He bowed towards Emperor Zhou again before taking his seat on the right. As for Zhou Jingyuan, as the junior with the lowest seniority, he could only sit below Lord Riverglance. Emperor Zhou asked, "I heard Lord Riverglance say that Daoyuan married a distant branch of my Zhou clan. Which branch is she from?" Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of scarlet Luan Nirvana flame from the space of the spirit pearl and smiled. "Brother-in-law, you'll know at a glance." Emperor Zhou probed with his divine sense and nodded. "It's the spiritual fire of Taoist Scarlet Luan's branch. It seems that my cousin's talent isn't low, to be able to condense spiritual fire. More than 1,000 years ago, Taoist Scarlet Luan had a conflict with my imperial grandfather and left Zhou in anger. This cousin of mine should be his descendant. Why didn't you bring her here this time? Taoist Scarlet Luan's branch is weak now. I wonder if she's willing to acknowledge her ancestors?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "She just gave birth half a year ago and is now taking care of the child at home." Hearing this, Taoist Thunderflame smiled. I have another grand disciple. After dealing with these monsters, I'll definitely go take a look. They talked about Zhou Luan and the child, while Zhou Jingyuan stayed at the side without saying a word. Then Emperor Zhou ordered him to arrange a residence for Wang Daoyuan. He stood up with a gloomy expression and brought Wang Daoyuan to a small courtyard. Arriving at the small courtyard, Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, I say, nephew, why do you look so unhappy when you see your uncle? I treat you as a friend. At most you'll be my brother-in-law. I didn't expect you to become my uncle. How can I be happy that I'm 1 generation younger than you? The two chatted for a while before Zhou Jingyuan left. There were too many demonic beasts gathered in the hidden dragon river. At their current cultivation level, some of them were more sensible and didn't cause trouble easily. However, most of the demonic beasts were still stubborn and would attack at the slightest sign of dissatisfaction. There were fights all day long in the hidden dragon river. The Zhou family's cultivators were busy suppressing them to prevent them from affecting humans. At first it was a little difficult, but later the reinforcements of the 4 top forces arrived one after another. The Qin state and some of the surrounding small countries also sent people to help, so the demonic beasts couldn't cause any trouble. Perhaps it was because of the presence of Taoist Lei Yan, a nascent soul cultivator, but even if a small number of demonic beasts were killed, most of the demonic beasts would obediently stay in the water and not dare to come ashore to cause trouble. In the beginning, Wang Daoyuan helped his family kill the demonic beasts a few times. Later, more and more people came to help, so Emperor Zhou didn't let him, the new son-in-law, do anything. Wang Daoyuan had nothing to do, so he asked spiritual master Lei Yan some questions about cultivation every day. More than 2 months passed and the day of the spiritual qi tide arrived. Before dawn, all the golden core cultivators came to the hidden dragon market next to the mouth of the hidden dragon river. The last time Wang Daoyuan came here, there was an endless stream of people and carriages, but now there was no one here. The mouth of the hidden dragon river was crowded with demonic beasts. There were nearly 1,000 rank 4 demonic beasts for dozens of miles around the mouth of the river. These demonic beasts were usually scattered all over the Wanchuan River and were all overlords. No one was willing to be wronged, so they didn't hide their bodies. Aquatic demonic beasts were relatively large, and the demonic beasts that were dozens of feet long were not in line. There were many demonic beasts that were hundreds of feet long. Wang Daoyuan also saw a few sharks. It seemed that not only the demonic beasts of the Wanchuan River, but also the demonic beasts of the sea. After reaching rank 4 demonic beasts, the seawater and river water had no effect on them. It was just that the demonic beasts of the sea didn't like to stay in the river. Now that there was a huge temptation, even if they didn't like it, they had to come. Soon the concentration of spiritual qi near the mouth of the hidden dragon river began to rise. At 4:45, the spiritual qi had reached rank 4. The demonic beasts in the water became restless and pushed each other, trying to find the best spot. The Zhou state's reinforcements added up to more than 200 golden core cultivators, and they were all staring at the mouth of the river. The demonic beasts didn't dare to leave the river. If anyone dared to fly out, they would be the first to stand out and would likely be beaten up. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached rank 4 demonic beasts. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached rank 4 demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan was also present during the last spiritual qi tide. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had barely reached rank 4 demonic beasts. Soon, at 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached the limit of rank 4 demonic beasts. It was comparable to the spiritual qi concentration in the Treasure Tripod Valley. The last time the spiritual qi concentration reached this level, it was already 4:45. This time it was more than 2 hours earlier. It seemed that the spiritual qi recovery was still relatively rapid. After that, the spiritual qi concentration stopped rising. Instead, the range of rank 4 demonic beasts continued to expand. Previously, the spiritual qi only covered a radius of 50 miles with the mouth of the river as the center. This was also the range of the spiritual qi tide in the past. After a quarter of an hour, this range had expanded to 50 miles. The speed of the expansion was still increasing, as if it was accumulating power for the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached the limit of rank 4 demonic beasts. It had expanded to a radius of 500 miles. Everyone was a little nervous. Everyone hoped for the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts. Even if the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts was not enough to break through the Yuanying, there was still some hope. At this time, the range of the spiritual chi tide was no longer expanding. Instead, it was rapidly shrinking. There were still more than 100 breaths left before 4:45, and the range of the spiritual chi tide had shrunk to a normal level. Suddenly, in the center of the river mouth, there was a violent fluctuation of spiritual chi and the power of law. Everyone probed with their spiritual sense and found a wisp of extremely extraordinary spiritual chi. It was rank 5 demonic beast. As soon as this wisp of rank 5 demonic beasts appeared, the surrounding spiritual chi also began to change rapidly. When 4:45 arrived with the river mouth as the center, all the spiritual chi within a radius of 50 miles had become rank 5 demonic beasts. The cultivators and the demonic beasts in the water no longer hesitated and desperately absorbed the spiritual chi. Wang Daoyuan even released the Gui water death flame, building a sea of fire with a diameter of 100 feet. The spiritual chi at the mouth of the river was of the water attribute. As soon as it touched the Gui water death flame, it burned fiercely. Within a radius of 50 miles, Wang Daoyuan only occupied a piece of land with a diameter of 100 feet, which was not considered big. However, the speed at which the flames burned the spiritual chi was much faster than the speed at which others absorbed it. Within today, the amount of spiritual chi consumed would be replenished. However, the replenishment of spiritual chi in the Sea of Fire could not keep up with the consumption. The spiritual chi outside the Sea of Fire was also quickly replenished. The nearby Golden Core cultivators were somewhat uncomfortable, but they could not say anything. Everyone relied on their own abilities. If they could not snatch it from Wang Daoyuan, they could only admit that they were unlucky. Not to mention Taoist Lei Yan was next to them. He was famous for being protective of his own people. Who dared to say anything? Wang Daoyuan also did not go too far. He always controlled the range of the Sea of Fire to a diameter of 100 feet. The excess flame essence was all taken back into his body. At this time he was rapidly circulating the 5-spirit immortal transformation technique to convert the flame essence into quintessential essence and improve his cultivation. Even without considering the power of law, rank 5 demonic beast's quality was extremely high. In just a quarter of an hour the golden core could no longer absorb spiritual chi. Wang Daoyuan began to circulate the internal refinement method of the true dragon physical conditioning technique, using the spiritual chi to strengthen his internal organs. The hidden dragon river mouth was a famous gathering place of dragon species. It had dragon chi itself. Coupled with the rank 5 demonic beasts, it was very suitable to cultivate the true dragon physical conditioning technique. Chapter 663. Every time there was a spirit chi tide in the hidden dragon river, the concentration of spirit chi would reach its peak at noon and then it would last until midnight. Then the concentration of spirit chi would slowly decrease until the next day, it would completely return to its original state. During this time it would maintain the highest level for about half a day. Last time, Taoist Lei Yan didn't absorb much spirit chi from the outside world and was able to form his nascent soul in a very short time mainly because of the spirit chi in the corpse core. That was left behind by a peak Yuanying cultivator. Even if a lot of spirit chi was lost, the remaining spirit chi far exceeded all the spirit chi of an early Yuanying cultivator. If a half-step Yuanying cultivator didn't have the help of a rank 5 spirit item and wanted to rely on rank 5 spirit chi to break through, if all the spirit chi in the hidden dragon river was given to him, it would take him 6 or 7 days to accumulate enough spirit chi to break through. Although it didn't take half a year to prepare like a core formation cultivator, forming his nascent soul still required a stable supply of rank 5 spirit chi. Relying on these few hours of rank 5 spirit chi to form his nascent soul, unless the spirit chi concentration reached high-grade rank 5 spirit chi. A nascent soul cultivator had to have enough ability to absorb this spirit chi. Although it wasn't enough for forming his nascent soul, the effect of increasing his cultivation was still very good. After Wang Daoyuan used the internal refinement method for an hour, the carrying capacity of his 5 viscera reached its limit. He used the external refinement method and used part of the essence of his 5 viscera to strengthen his body. At this stage he didn't need to absorb spirit chi from the outside world, but he was still constantly extracting the essence of the Gui water death flame. These flame essences were directly sent into the space of the spirit bead to increase the spirit qi concentration in the space. It was a pity that he didn't bring Yun Yi with him. In the past few years, Wang Daoyuan had taken time to feed it some inky jade lotus seeds. This fellow's cultivation had improved quite quickly. Although it hadn't broken through to rank 3 middle grade, it wasn't far off. If he could bring it and put it in the space of the spirit bead with the help of so much yin qi, it wouldn't be difficult to break through. A large amount of water spirit qi carrying yin qi poured into the space of the spirit bead, causing the entire space to become somewhat gloomy. The red-feathered crow felt uncomfortable and turned into a sun, emitting a rich pure yang qi. The pure yin and yang qi fused together, a large amount of purple qi emerged. The speed at which the purple cloud would absorb the purple qi was too slow. No matter how much purple qi there was, it had to be absorbed slowly. On the other hand, the 2 star cores floating in the air had gained a lot of benefits. Their spiritual energy fluctuations had increased significantly. Originally, it was only a level 4 mid-grade star nucleus. After staying in the spirit pearl for many years, it was about to be upgraded to a level 4 high-grade star nucleus. This time, with the help of this large amount of purple qi, it wouldn't be a problem to raise its grade. Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to temper his body. Instead, he used tempering his body as an excuse to absorb more spiritual energy. In addition to drawing a large amount of spiritual power into the space of the spiritual pearl, part of the spiritual power was also converted into the 5 elements and slowly integrated into the 5 spiritual power seeds. The 5 elemental spiritual fire that had been refined into a spirit power seed could also absorb a portion of the level 5 spirit power and transform it into the spirit fire origin. The higher their grade, the faster Wang Daoyuan's cultivation speed. However, the peak time of the spirit energy tide did not last until midnight as usual. At the beginning of the evening, the range of the 5th stage spirit energy began to shrink. This was the first time a level 5 spirit energy appeared, so it was reasonable that it couldn't last for too long. However, with this reduction, all the cultivators and beasts became nervous. Everyone wanted to snatch a little more spirit energy. This 5th stage spirit energy was a rare good thing. The human race still had some self-control and would not fall out over such a small thing. However, the beasts in the river did not care about this. If there was not enough spirit energy, they would snatch it. The beasts at the edge of the spirit energy tide could originally also absorb the 5th stage spirit energy. Now they could not absorb it, and those beasts squeezed in the middle could still absorb the 5th stage spirit energy normally. How could they be balanced? If they were mentally unbalanced, they would snatch it. The beasts at the edge began to squeeze to the middle. The beasts in the middle did not want to give up their interests, and the conflict broke out just like that. First, the 2 sharks at the edge began to be unconvinced. These guys were not good-tempered. After the 5th stage spirit energy disappeared, they began to attack the giant python next to them, wanting to snatch the spirit energy. This giant python was not to be trifled with. Its scales were shining with a metallic light and there was a bulge on its head. It should also be a dragon species. Although this guy's dragon blood was thin as a dragon species, it had a lot of pride. In addition, its cultivation had reached the 4th stage high grade. It was usually in existence that dominated a region. How could it withstand the provocation of 2 sharks? The 2 sides fought in the water. The giant python was at a slight disadvantage in a 1 versus 2 fight. These beasts had lived for at least thousands of years. Who didn't have relatives? What's more, these 2 sharks were not local. They ran from the sea to the Wanchuan River to beg for food. The local beasts naturally stood with the giant python. Soon, 2 python-type beasts came to help. In order to absorb more spirit energy, these guys wanted to cover the entire spirit energy tide with their bodies. They were at least hundreds of feet long. This place was already very crowded. Now that there was a fight, the beasts next to them were naturally affected. The beasts that were implicated for no reason could not swallow this and joined the fight. Soon the entire Qianlong River mouth was in a mess. The human cultivators stopped cultivating and hurriedly retreated 50 miles away from the river mouth. Wang Daoyuan took out the meteoric flame controlling gourd, put away the Gui water death flame and also retreated. Everyone had the mentality of watching a good show. Since these beasts wanted to make trouble, then let them fight to their heart's content. It was best to kill a few more. The fewer beasts there were, the less of a threat to the human race. Although these beasts were all 4th stage high grade and the difference in cultivation was not big, the difference in strength was not small. The human race was of the same species. Late-stage golden core cultivators could be divided into first, second, and third rate. Since the beasts were not of the same species, the difference in strength would only be greater. In the center of the river mouth, a fourth-stage high-grade black flood dragon firmly held the territory, guarding the place with the densest spirit energy. A few beasts came to test it, but they were quickly repelled by it. Naturally, they were strong and weak. The two sharks that started the fight were besieged by a group of beasts and soon couldn't hold on. They directly flew out of the Wanchuan River and flew to the north bank. Everyone within 300 miles of the Qianlong River mouth had already moved out. There was also a small mountain nearby. The fight near the river mouth would not affect the human cultivators outside. However, if these two sharks wanted to escape inland, they would be a big threat to the nearby humans. A fourth-stage high-grade demonic beast could kill a large number of low-level cultivators with a single breath. The north bank of the Wanchuan River was guarded by cultivators from the Wind Snow Deity Palace and the Archaic Mysteries sect. When the two sharks rushed over, a cold wind blew. After a breath, snowflakes drifted down. These snowflakes were like sharp blades. When they touched the two sharks, they would leave a bloody mark. These two fellows were not fools. Seeing that they could not afford to offend the cultivators on the north bank of the Wanchuan River, they turned and fled east. However, before they could escape far, the two sharks seemed to have bumped into an invisible net. After charging forward for a while, they were bounced back. Such a brilliant array should be the work of the Archaic Mysteries sect. The cold wind and snowflakes were jointly cast by many cultivators from the Wind Snow Deity Palace. The two sharks were quickly frozen into ice sculptures. The cultivators from the two sects each took one. The escape of the two sharks was just the beginning. Soon, a huge catfish escaped to the south bank of the Wanchuan River west of the Qianlong River. That was where the Tai Sword sect was guarding. Just as it flew to the shore, a sword shadow flashed past. The catfish flew forward for more than a mile before landing on the ground. At this moment he was no longer breathing. Blood flowed all over the ground. Then a person flew over and took the catfish. This person was Swordless Spiritual Master. Demonic beasts constantly fled inland and were all killed. Wang Daoyuan was on the east bank of the Qianlong River, which was mainly guarded by the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Lei Yan's Spiritual Master emitted the aura of a Yuanying cultivator here. No demonic beasts dared to escape. Not long after, a dark green flood dragon flew over and roared at Wang Daoyuan. During the last spiritual energy tide, one of my grandsons was killed. You have his aura on you. Did you do it? Wang Daoyuan was stunned. He encountered an enemy seeking revenge. Chapter 664. The concentration of this flood dragon's bloodline was not low. Its head and body were no different from a real dragon, except that it had 4 claws and 3 toes. The scales on its body were like pieces of jade. It was the jade scale flood dragon. In front of this guy, Venerable Yulong's green flood dragon was just a little loach. When this kind of semi-divine beast cultivated to the 4th rank, it would definitely attract a bloodline heavenly tribulation. After the baptism of the bloodline heavenly tribulation, the concentration of its dragon blood would be even higher. The minor divine abilities of semi-divine beasts were inherited from their bloodline. The higher the concentration of the bloodline, the stronger the minor divine abilities. Moreover, this flood dragon's physical body was extremely strong. Even if Wang Daoyuan had refined his body for many years, he was still far from being its opponent. Its fighting strength was definitely at the level of a first-rate golden core cultivator, and it was a relatively strong one. It should not be inferior to Zhao Jinghua. Wang Daoyuan really had no chance of winning in a head-on fight. However, Wang Daoyuan himself could also be considered a first-rate expert among golden core cultivators. The difference in strength was not that big. Even if he was not the opponent of this jade scale flood dragon, it was not a problem for him to protect himself. What's more, wasn't master here. Wang Daoyuan generously admitted, during the last spiritual energy tide, I did kill a 3rd-rank high-grade jade scale flood dragon to refine my life-bound magic weapon. Your grandson ran to the human territory and was killed, so you can't blame anyone. Hearing this, the jade scale flood dragon was furious. You, a dignified golden core cultivator, actually bullied my grandson. This spiritual energy tide has existed for who knows how many years. Every time the children of the demon race come to borrow the spiritual energy to break through. As long as we don't hurt the humans on the shore, the ancient powerhouses never cared. What, is the human race going to set new rules now? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile. According to the rules passed down from ancient times, both humans and demons can borrow the spiritual energy tide to break through. If there is a conflict, there will be no casualties if the cultivators are of the same level. When I killed your grandson, I had just entered the late stage of the Zifu realm. My cultivation was even lower than your grandson's. I killed it in accordance with the rules passed down from ancient times. What's wrong with that? The Jade Scale Flood Dragon said angrily. Do you take me for a fool? The human race's cultivation speed, even divine beasts can't compare. However, from the core formation stage to the late golden core stage, even if one had a heavenly spiritual root, it would still take 100 years. From the initial stage of the Violet Palace realm to the core formation stage, it would take several decades. In total, it would take at least 200 years. It had only been 60 years since the last spirit chi tide. In ancient times, when my demon clan was still able to transform into divine beasts, there weren't many people who could do this. No matter how many lies you tell, you won't be able to escape death. Wang Daoyuan sneered. I'm just stating the facts. North of the Wanchuan River, all the rank 4 demonic beasts in the Sky Beheading Mountain range should know. The matter of me forming my gold core over 40 years ago is also known by everyone. I'm talking so much nonsense with you because I don't want to be wronged. Do you think I'm afraid of you? In a battle of magical powers, there isn't much difference between our strength, but in a battle of life and death, you will definitely die. Then he summoned his life spirit fire, Tai golden flames and Gui water death flames. Although the Jade Scale Flood Dragon was a dragon species, it was extremely good at fighting in the water. However, he was not a water elemental demonic beast, so he did not have any water elemental techniques or spells. As long as Wang Daoyuan did not enter the water, he would not be able to borrow the power of the water. In this place where the water elemental spirit chi was extremely rich, not only would he not be able to gain the upper hand, he would also be suppressed by Wang Daoyuan. However, the bad temper of a dragon species did not allow him to retreat. His body rapidly expanded to a length of 10,000 feet. He opened his mouth and spat out rays of green light, attacking Wang Daoyuan. The other cultivators hurriedly retreated. Perfected Lei Yan also stood at the side with a smile, not worried about Wang Daoyuan at all. Wang Daoyuan used the cloud mist escape, and countless small black flames directly covered an area of more than 10 miles. When the flames encountered the rich water elemental spirit chi, they quickly burned and turned into a sea of fire. Wang Daoyuan was also worried that he would anger all the demonic beasts, so he tried to reduce the range of the flames. The Jade Scale Flood Dragon wanted to control the green light, change the direction and continue to attack. However, as soon as he released his spiritual sense, it was burned to ashes by the black flames. The black flames followed the spiritual sense and attacked his soul. The Jade Scale Flood Dragon's body burst out with green spiritual energy, and a green tornado appeared out of thin air, dispersing the black flames. Without the cover of the black flames, Wang Daoyuan was exposed. The green tornado had an extremely strong suction force, seriously affecting his speed. At the same time, the Jade Scale Flood Dragon suddenly swung its dragon tail, whipping it towards him. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to take this head-on, and released the fire of life, burning the spiritual energy in the green tornado, weakening its power. He used the vermilion bird fire resistance escape to dodge the dragon tail. The dragon tail fell, whipping the river surface, splashing blood-red waves. A demonic beast fighting for the 5th stage spirit chi was directly whipped to death by this tail. Seeing this, Wang Daoyuan was shocked. If he was hit, he would have become minced meat by now. Taking advantage of the gap between the Jade Scale Flood Dragon's attack, Wang Daoyuan put on the black magic robe and used the hidden devil art to hide his tracks. The Jade Scale Flood Dragon wanted to attack again, but Wang Daoyuan secretly controlled the fire of life and the remaining Gui water death flames, making them burn more vigorously. The green tornado was ignited by the fire of life, and Wang Daoyuan was fighting with the Jade Scale Flood Dragon for control, so the Jade Scale Flood Dragon could no longer control this green tornado. The two flames burned fiercely. Wang Daoyuan used the spiritual energy fluctuations of the flames as cover and slowly approached the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. He did not expect to be able to break the reverse scale in one go. After all, the Jade Scale Flood Dragon was not easy to deal with. An opponent who could threaten his life appeared in his most vital place. It was impossible for him to not notice. Wang Daoyuan came to the back of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon, wanting to stab the waist of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. However, the scales of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon were layered, and the gap between the two scales was protected by a third scale, so it was not easy to break through. He poured a large amount of metal-attributed spiritual energy into the white tiger blade, then called it out and stabbed the gap between the scales. The sound of metal clashing rang out, and this sword barely broke through the scales under the gap. After the tip of the sword penetrated the scales, it pierced less than half an inch. For a giant dragon that was over 10,000 feet in length, this injury was not worth mentioning at all. Then he released sword chi and attacked the waist of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. Under the pain, the Jade Scale Flood Dragon let out a heart-wrenching roar. Despicable villain. Originally, he just wanted to give it a try. He did not expect that the metal-attributed spiritual energy of the white tiger blade would have such a strong restraining effect on the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. Looking at the appearance of the Jade Scale Flood Dragon, it should have injured its waist. He spat out more than 10 green lights from his mouth, attacking Wang Daoyuan, and his tail also swung over. However, the strength and speed of this tail were obviously not as good as before, so it was not a big deal to take it head-on. To be safe, Wang Daoyuan still pulled out the white tiger blade and used the smoke escape to dodge. The black flood dragon that showed its might at the mouth of the river flew up and angrily rebuked the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. How did the Flood Dragon clan produce such a waste like you? Not only can you not take down the opponent, you also injured your waist. Then he opened his mouth and spat out a black wind, extinguishing the Gui water hell flame. This guy was the deep-sea inky flood dragon, a water-attributed semi-divine beast. In this mouth of the river, Wang Daoyuan was really not his opponent, and it would be difficult for him to protect himself. Spiritual Master Lei Yan released the power of a Yuanying cultivator and coldly snorted. This Jade Scale Flood Dragon and my disciple have a personal grudge, so I did not say anything when he attacked. You inky flood dragon dare to join in the fun? Could it be that you think this old man does not dare to make a move? When these words came out, the deep-sea inky flood dragon was stunned. Previously, he did not know Wang Daoyuan's identity, but his methods were too sinister, causing the dragon race to lose face. Now that he knew that Wang Daoyuan had a Yuanying master, he hurriedly apologized. I did not know that this Daoyu was your disciple, please forgive me. Then he hurriedly returned to the mouth of the river. Spiritual Master Lei Yan coldly snorted and did not say anything else. When the Jade Scale Flood Dragon found out that Wang Daoyuan was a Yuanying cultivator's disciple, he was somewhat afraid. If he killed Wang Daoyuan, he would be skinned alive by this Yuanying cultivator. If he lost, he would be killed by Wang Daoyuan. If he continued to fight, both sides would die. He simply stopped attacking and plunged into the Thousand Rivers River. It was just that when he was running away, the movements of the lower half of his body were not very natural. Spiritual Master Lei Yan stroked his beard and smiled. Your sword was quite accurate. This Jade Scale Flood Dragon is most likely crippled. Chapter 665. Wang Daoyuan did not want to let the tiger return to the mountain, but the flood dragon was too strong after entering the water. Even if it was one-on-one, he was not a match for the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. If he was attacked by other demon beasts, his life would be in danger. He could only sigh and give up the chase. After the Jade Scale Flood Dragon entered the water, it did not continue to fight for the level 5 spirit chi. After all, its waist was severely injured. If it quickly found a place to heal, it might be able to recover. If it continued to delay, it might completely lose its ability to be merciful. Half-divine beasts were much smarter than other demon beasts. That deep-sea ink flood dragon did not slip away along the Wanchuan River. Anyway, the level 5 spirit chi could not last for too long. There was no benefit in continuing to stay. If there was a demon with low intelligence who wanted to die, it would attract the Yuanying cultivators to attack. A level 4 flood dragon was extremely valuable. The Yuanying cultivators would be happy to injure it by accident. At this time, only a small area with a radius of less than 10 miles still had level 5 spirit chi. The fight at the mouth of the river became even more intense. Level 4 demon beasts were not inferior to most humans in terms of intelligence, but whether they were smart or stupid did not depend on intelligence. Intelligence was just a hard condition. Whether or not they could make good use of this hard condition depended on their personality and thinking habits. Most demon beasts were irritable and did not like to use their brains. They did not have the habit and ability to analyze the pros and cons. They were similar to human idiots. As long as there were benefits in front of them that could move them, they would act on instinct and charge forward. Even if their lives were in danger, they would not hesitate. Now, most of the demon beasts at the mouth of the river were like this. They used all their strength to squeeze towards the center of the river. The demon beasts that stayed within the range of the level 5 spirit chi did not want to be squeezed out, so they fought with the demon beasts outside who wanted to squeeze in. The entire river was dyed red with the blood of the demon beasts. Only a few smart demon beasts escaped downstream along the Wanchuan River. The demon beasts at the mouth of the river huddled together. The demon beasts that were more seriously injured did not dare to continue fighting. They hurriedly flew out of the water and escaped to the riverbank. In the end, they became the prey of the crowd and were killed by a group of golden core cultivators. Wang Daoyuan was south of the Wanchuan River and west of the Hidden Dragon River. Still, no demon beasts dared to come over. Taoist Thunderflame noticed the problem and retracted his aura. Very quickly, some reckless fellows rushed up. The dozen or so golden core cultivators of the Divine Weapon Pavilion who were guarding this place, as well as a portion of the Zhou clan cultivators, all attacked. Wang Daoyuan did not compete with them. He was staring at the seafood. Due to the obstruction of the sky-beheading mountain range, the cultivators in the hinterland of the state of Zhao were rarely able to eat seafood. It just so happened that this time, there were 4th-tier upper-grade demonic beasts in the sea coming to seek death, so he could have a taste of it. There were 2 foodies at home, one big and one small, waiting for him to bring back good things. A moment later, a blue and red lobster rushed out of the river. When demonic beasts fled, most of them would shrink their bodies. But after the lobster shrunk, its single tail was still more than 10 meters long. This was good meat. As soon as this fellow flew to the riverbank, it was trapped by the black tortoise purgatory. It used its 2 large pincers to smash the wall of black flames. This lobster was not considered very powerful among its peers. It was also heavily injured and there were several cracks on its shell. It was unable to break through the black tortoise purgatory at all, and its soul was quickly destroyed by the black flames. Wang Daoyuan even converted his spirit energy and cast an ice attribute spell to freeze the lobster. The range of the level 5 spirit energy was quickly reduced to a radius of 1 mile. The battle between the demonic beasts entered a white-hot state. More and more demonic beasts fled to the shore, but Wang Daoyuan did not encounter any other seafood. After all, there were very few seafood that was willing to take the risk to go inland, and they were surrounded and beaten in the mouth of the river. Only a few demonic beasts could escape to the shore. Most of the heavily injured demonic beasts were eaten by the demonic beasts that surrounded and beat them up. Since there was no seafood that came to die, Wang Daoyuan did not force it. He casually took a particularly fat catfish. At this moment, the level 5 spirit energy had completely disappeared. Without any benefits, most of the level 4 demonic beasts that still had reason began to flee quickly. A few demonic beasts that had gone berserk continued to fight. The golden core cultivators who had gained nothing previously flew above the mouth of the river and killed the heavily injured level 4 demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan killed 2 level 4 demonic beasts. It was not appropriate for him to attack again, so he did not participate. With the participation of the human cultivators, the demonic beasts did not dare to continue fighting and fled. A portion of them were directly killed by the human cultivators. In this chaotic battle, 200 to 300 demonic beasts died. More than half of them were eaten by the other demonic beasts, and only 100 or so were taken by the golden core cultivators. With the demonic beasts dead and fleeing, the mouth of the Hidden Dragon River regained its peace. Lord Linjiang invited the cultivators who came to support to the banquet, but not many were in the mood to attend. The Wanchuan River basin covered half of Beiyuan Zhou Xian. These fleeing demonic beasts could very well threaten the industries of various places, especially a power like Qingli County whose territory was close to the Wanchuan River. If a few demonic beasts went crazy and rushed into Qingli River, even Zhou Wan could not guarantee that she could stop a level 4 demonic beast. Most of the cultivators bid farewell and left. A portion of the Divine Weapon Pavilion cultivators stayed behind to attend the banquet. Perfected Lei Yan wanted to see his grand disciple, so he went to Qingli County with Wang Daoyuan. The master and disciple took turns to ride the clouds and did not need to rest along the way. With perfected Lei Yan's fast speed, they returned to Qingli County in just 2 days. The demonic beast's speed in the water was far slower than a golden core cultivator's cloud. In addition, most of them were injured. Along the way there might be low-level level 4 demonic beasts taking advantage of them. It was impossible for them to reach Qingli County in half a month. Wang Daoyuan and perfected Lei Yan returned to Jade Spring Peak. As the only Yuanying cultivator in Beiyuan, Zhou Xian had arrived, the Wang family naturally did not dare to neglect him. Fifth great-uncle, third brother, and the rest led most of the family's cultivators out to welcome them. Zhou Wan did not come out because her identity had to be kept a secret. It was not the first time perfected Lei Yan had come to Jade Spring Peak. He dismissed the crowd and Wang Daoyuan brought him to his cave abode. At this time Wang Mingchen was hammering the blocking formation at the door. After not seeing him for 2 to 3 months, the little guy's body had become even sturdier. His memory was not bad. When he saw Wang Daoyuan return, he immediately pounced on him and hugged his thigh, crying as if he had suffered a great grievance. When perfected Lei Yan walked in, Zhou Wan immediately bowed and said, "Greetings, master." Perfected Lei Yan smiled and said, "No need to be so polite. Daoyuan really has good eyesight to find such a good Dao companion." After saying that, he took out a golden rope and said, "I did not bring anything good. This is the golden thread demon binding rope that I refined. As long as you are bound, even a half-step Yuanying won't be able to break free. Take it as a greeting gift. If Daoyuan does anything wrong in the future, feel free to use this thing to deal with him." This magic tool was not only a high-grade level 4 magic tool, it should be very close to level 5. However, Wang Daoyuan did not decline. He was very clear about his master's temper. He would give away things worth tens of millions of spirit stones just like that. He simply did not care about these things. It was just that he would have a hard time in the future. If he made Zhou Wan unhappy, he would be bound. Zhou Wan quickly thanked him and glanced at Wang Daoyuan. Soon after, perfected Lei Yan squatted down and said with a smile, "Little disciple, let Grandmaster hug you." The little guy turned around and looked at Zhou Wan. Zhou Wan nodded, then he walked towards perfected Lei Yan. Perfected Lei Yan picked him up and said with a smile, "This little guy looks like Daoyuan and his intelligence is even more so. He will not suffer any losses in the future." He took out a purple gold longevity lock and put it on Wang Mingchen. "This is a purple gold longevity lock that I specially refined for my little disciple after I broke through to the Yuanying realm. Due to the lack of level 5 materials, it is only at the limit of high-grade level 4. This longevity lock can automatically absorb and store spirit chi from the outside world. Once it is attacked, it will release a defensive light barrier that can withstand a full-strength attack from a half-step Yuanying cultivator. With this thing, even a golden core cultivator will not be able to injure him in a short time." The little guy did not understand what he meant, but he still nodded and pretended to understand, making perfected Lei Yan laugh heartily. Chapter 666. Wang Daoyuan called 8th sister over. Since master was here, he had to prepare something delicious. He had just killed 2 high-grade rank 4 demonic beasts and could use them as ingredients. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the cave dwelling and took out the frozen catfish that was more than 500 feet long. After melting the ice, he used the sky-sealing sword prison to wrap it up. After a few dozen breaths, the catfish turned into countless pieces of meat. He put the meat into his yin and yang ring and gave it to 8th sister. Lei Yanzhenren stroked his beard and smiled. "Using a sword formation to cook, it seems you can still walk the path of spirit chef." Wang Mingchen looked at the fish meat in the sky. Not only was he not afraid, he even drooled. Sure enough, a foodie was fearless. This big catfish was enough for the whole clan to eat for a long time. Unfortunately, there was too much spirit energy in the meat of a high-grade rank 4 demonic beast. If one wanted to eat to their heart's content, they would need to be at least Jindan stage. Zifu stage cultivators could barely eat some meat, but cultivators below Zifu stage had to add water to their soup. Naturally, they could not use ordinary fire to cook. They needed to go to the earth fire room and borrow the power of the earth fire. 8th sister's cooking was naturally not bad. She made a table full of dishes and sent them to the cave. The 3 adults ate meat. Wang Mingchen looked at them anxiously and wanted to eat some. He had only grown 2 lower incisors, so eating ordinary meat was difficult for him. Wang Daoyuan took out a small bowl, dripped a few drops of fish soup and filled the bowl with water. Ordinary people could withstand the spirit energy in the fish soup. Wang Mingchen's small face leaned into the bowl and drank. Soon he finished the bowl of fish soup. He picked up the empty bowl and wanted more. Wang Daoyuan did the same. Wang Mingchen quickly finished drinking again. This time he was full. The three used their divine sense to check his body and found that the spirit energy in the fish soup was quickly absorbed by him and merged into his body. Lei Yanzhenren smiled. Good boy, such a small body can withstand so much spirit energy. He is a good seedling for body refinement. If he is nurtured well, his achievements in body refinement will definitely not be low. Alright, have you prepared a cultivation method for him? Zhou Xian nodded. I have the Zhou clan's ancestral body tempering cultivation method in my hands, all of which are of the fire attribute just right for him. Dao Yuan still had the true dragon body tempering technique and the 100 spirits true monarch's cultivation technique. After he cultivates to the golden core realm, he can improve his cultivation method. Lei Yanzhenren nodded. That's good. This child also has a fire attribute spiritual root and also has the Zhou family's bloodline. It is indeed suitable for him to cultivate the Zhou family's cultivation method. Taoist Lei Yan stayed at the Jade Spring Peak for over 10 days, but he still wasn't able to finish eating the catfish. Other than teasing Wang Mingchen, he also went to the Earth Fire Chamber to teach the Wang family how to forge weapons. His crafting level had already reached the 4th tier upper grade a few hundred years ago. Now that he had broken through to the Yuanying realm, his divine sense was strong enough. Even if he used 4th tier high-grade refining materials, it was still possible to refine a 5th tier magic tool. His attainments in the art of refining were undeniably the best in the whole of Beiyuan Zhou Xian. With his guidance, the standards of everyone in the Wang family's crafting hall improved significantly. Especially Zhao Liang, who spent most of his time on refining weapons. His crafting level was close to 3rd tier upper grade, and under Taoist Lei Yan's guidance he successfully broke through. Taoist Lei Yan also had some attainments in formations. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to refine a 4th tier flying warship. He also conveniently gave some pointers to the clansmen in the formation hall, which benefited them greatly. 12th uncle sent news that middle tier and low-grade 4th tier demonic beasts began to flee in panic on the Wanchuan River. This should be the return of 4th tier high-grade demonic beasts. Previously there weren't any 4th tier high-grade demonic beasts around, so they were jumping up and down. Now that 4th tier high-grade demonic beasts were back, they naturally had to flee and find a safe place to hide. The Wanchuan market only had a 4th tier low-grade formation. If 4th tier high-grade demonic beasts attacked, it wouldn't last for long. Wang Daoyuan and Taoist Lei Yan quickly rushed over to see if they could kill a few more demonic beasts. As a result, Wang Daoyuan was greatly disappointed. These 4th rank high-grade demonic beasts had all become frightened birds, and all of them walked underwater. None of them were arrogant on the surface of the water, let alone attacking the market square. This was already the lower reaches of the Wanchuan River, and the water volume was extremely large. These fellows hid at the bottom of the river, and even Yuanying cultivators' divine sense couldn't lock onto them. Wang Daoyuan brought a lot of catfish meat over and he cooked some dishes every day for 12th uncle to eat. After a month, the demonic beasts still didn't make any movements. Those demonic beasts that went to the mouth of the Qianlong River had long returned home. Taoist Lei Yan didn't stay for long. These years the remnants of the Shannon demon clan were restless, and they needed a stabilizing force like him. He went to the Jade Spring Peak to see Wang Mingchen before leaving Qingli County and returning to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. On the 2nd day after Taoist Lei Yan left, a 4th tier mid-grade flying warship traveled along the Qingli River towards the Jade Spring Peak. The ship hung the Zhou clan's 5-colored phoenix flag. Since they dared to fly this flag, it meant that there were direct descendants of the Zhou clan on the ship. Wang Daoyuan personally went to the mountain to welcome them. 2 people walked down from the ship and they were both familiar faces. One was the crown prince of Zhou country, Zhou Jingyuan, and the other was Lord Linjiang. Upon seeing Wang Daoyuan, Lord Linjiang smiled. Thank you, Daoyu, for your help at the mouth of the Qianlong River a few days ago. My nephew Jingyuan and I are here to express our gratitude. Zhou Xian had already received the news that the Zhou Emperor had sent out his disciples to express his gratitude to the various powers that helped. Ordinary powers would only send out their own golden core cultivators. The ones who came to thank the Wang clan were the Crown Prince and Prince of Zhou country. Of course they were here for Taoist Lei Yan and Zhou Xian. Wang Daoyuan also cupped his hands. Daoyu, please enter. The two of them rode on a cloud and followed Wang Daoyuan. The flying warship followed behind them. When they arrived at the Jade Spring Peak, Wang Daoyuan brought the two of them into the hall. Fifth great uncle and third brother also came to accompany them. After sitting down, Wang Daoyuan said, "The two of you came at a bad time. My master has already returned to the precious Cauldron Mountain yesterday." Lord Lin Hai smiled. "It's fine. We'll visit the precious Cauldron Mountain next time. The two of us, uncle and nephew, are here mainly for Imperial Sister. Imperial Father wants us to meet Imperial Sister. If she's willing to acknowledge her ancestors, we can give her the title of Princess. In that case I'll call her over." With that he sent a voice transmission to Zhou Xian, asking her to bring Go Zi and the purple gold longevity lock that his master gave him. This was the first time his nephew was meeting his uncle, who was also a prince of Zhou country and a cousin of the crown prince. Regardless of their blood relationship, as long as they could continue their seniority, a greeting gift couldn't be lacking. Since his master had given him such a good greeting gift, how could he, as an uncle, be embarrassed to give it away? Zhou Xian felt that it was a little embarrassing, but Wang Daoyuan was thick-skinned enough and didn't care at all. Under his insistence, Zhou Xian used a secret concealment technique and carried Wang Mingchen to the hall. She appeared in the hall and bowed. "Zhou Xian, the great-great-granddaughter of perfected Qi Luan, greets Your Highness Lord Linjiang and Your Highness Crown Prince." Lord Linjiang hurriedly stood up. "Sister, there's no need to be so polite." Zhou Jingyuan also stood up and bowed. "Jingyuan greets aunt." Wang Mingchen saw Zhou Xian bow and imitated her. He bowed and said something that no one could understand. Lord Linjiang smiled. "Nephew, you're so obedient. You're so polite at such a young age." With that said, he took out a beast skin book. "I heard from brother-in-law that nephew only has a fire spirit root and might have a special constitution. Father ordered me to give cousin the Red Phoenix divine fire art that perfected Qi Luan perfected in his later years. Among the descendants of perfected Qi Luan, there are no outstanding people. The only ones who can bring this Scarlet Phoenix divine fire art to greater heights are my cousin and little nephew." Wang Daoyuan wasn't surprised that the Zhou family gave out a cultivation technique. Zhou Xian knew this cultivation technique, but it wasn't perfect enough. For a power like the Zhou family that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, they didn't care about their own branch inheritance being leaked. The Zhou family had many branches and many of their cultivation techniques and spells had been leaked out long ago. However, these cultivation techniques and spells were just a drop in the ocean for the Zhou family's huge inheritance system. The direct lineage Phoenix Nirvana technique and its accompanying spells were the essence of the Zhou family's inheritance. Using the Red Phoenix Divine Fire art to connect with perfected Lei Yan was a win-win situation. Chapter 667. Without a doubt, this cultivation technique was the most suitable for Wang Mingchen. For the sake of her son's future, Zhou Xian did not decline. Seeing Zhou Xian accept the cultivation technique, a smile appeared on Lord Riverglant's face. Since she was willing to accept it, the rest would be easier to discuss. Lord Linjiang asked, "I'm here on father's orders to ask if you're willing to acknowledge your ancestors and return to the clan?" The person Lord Linjiang referred to as father was naturally the retired emperor of Zhou country. After he abdicated, he no longer cared about the affairs of the country and only cared about the affairs of the Zhou royal family. Zhou Xian nodded. "I cultivate the inheritance left behind by my ancestor perfected Qi Luan. I'm naturally willing to acknowledge my ancestors and return to the clan." "In that case, sister, please accept the imperial edict of the retired emperor." With that said, he took out a 5-colored scroll and handed it to Zhou Xian. Golden core cultivators did not need to kneel in front of the emperor and only needed to bow. Late-stage golden core cultivators usually had the same status as the emperor of a country. Although Zhou country had a high status, it could not make a late-stage golden core cultivator kneel and accept an imperial edict. Zhou Xian took the imperial edict and opened it. The content was praising Zhou Xian, and the main content was to confer Zhou Xian the title of Princess Qingyang. Qingyang was the name of a city in Zhou country, which was the fief of perfected Qi Yuan. However, Zhou Xian was already married to Wang Daoyuan. Furthermore, Wang Daoyuan was not from the Zhou nation. This fief was just an empty title. After reading the imperial edict, Zhou Xian cupped her hands towards the west and said, "Thank you for your grace, retired emperor." Lord Linjiang nodded in satisfaction. According to the rules of Zhou country, His Majesty has to personally confer the title of princess. However, sister's identity is special and it's not appropriate for you to appear in public, so the ceremony will be simple. The Crown Prince Zhou Jingyuan will confer the title on behalf of His Majesty. With that said, Zhou Jingyuan took out a tray from his universe ring. On it was a palm-sized jade token and a golden book. Zhou Wan's information was engraved on the jade tablet. This was a heavenly jade archive that represented the identity of a member of the royal family, which was also the identity proof of a member of the royal family. What was recorded in the golden book was that Zhou Wan had been conferred the title of Princess Qingyang. It could be considered as proof of her title. Usually there would be a jade seal for conferring the title of princess. Although the princess's fief was not a real one, she was still the nominal monarch of this land. As a symbol of authority, the jade seal could give orders to the fief. In Zhou Wan's situation, it was impossible for her to have any power over the fief. Naturally, the jade seal would not be given. She accepted the heavenly imperial jade archive and the golden book, which meant that she accepted the title of Princess Qingyang. Then Lord Linjiang took out a phoenix coronet and robe that belonged to the Zhou kingdom's princess. Zhou Wan took it and bowed to express her gratitude. At this point, the process of conferring the title of princess was over. Lord Linjiang then took out 2 boxes, one big and one small, and said with a smile, "This is a gift from royal brother to royal sister and little nephew. Royal sister, please don't refuse." Zhou Wan received the gift and bowed. "Thank you, royal brother." Now that Lord Linjiang and Wang Daoyuan had completed their purpose in coming to Jade Spring Peak, they began to chat with Wang Daoyuan. A few hours later, Lord Linjiang cupped his hands and said, "Brother-in-law Jingyuan and I still have to return to report to royal brother and royal father. After that, we still have to pay a visit to the 4 top factions to thank them for helping Zhou Kingdom resist the demonic beasts. We won't stay any longer." Wang Daoyuan took out 4 storage bags. "My Qingli County is located in the wilderness and can't be compared to Zhou Kingdom. Only some hidden cloud tea can be taken out. I'll give these tea leaves to the retired emperor, His Majesty's second brother-in-law and eldest nephew." They came from afar and gave him a few precious things. If Wang Daoyuan didn't give them something in return, it would seem that he didn't know how to be polite. Lord Linjiang took the hidden cloud tea and said with a smile, "The hidden cloud tea of Qingli County is also a first-class item. Royal father and royal brother are full of praise for this item, so I won't stand on ceremony with you." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "Second brother-in-law, you're treating me like an outsider." After exchanging a few more pleasantries, Lord Linjiang and Zhou Jingyuan left. Wang Daoyuan sent them 100 miles south of Jade Spring Peak. After returning to the cave abode, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Brother-in-law, what good things did you give me?" Zhou Wan took out 2 boxes. "My ancestor Taoist Master Qi Luan is also famous for his artifact refinement. The gifts given by Emperor Zhou were all made by Taoist Master Qi Luan. The gift he gave me is a phoenix feather robe, which complements the red phoenix divine fire art. When people who cultivate the red phoenix divine fire art wear the phoenix feather robe, the power of their spells will be greatly increased. The gift he gave Mingchen is a red phoenix jade pendant, which is refined with phoenix blood crystals. When cultivators who cultivate the red phoenix divine fire art wear the red phoenix jade pendant, they will be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Brother-in-law is indeed a straightforward person. I didn't lose out on the hidden cloud tea I gave you. This trip to Zhou can be considered a huge profit." Zhou Wan sighed. "You're only so promising, yet you're so calculative with your relatives. I'm really afraid that Mingchen will learn bad things from you. As long as you are the ruler of a region, which one of you won't scheme against? It's just that there are big and small ones. You're from a distant branch of the Zhou clan, yet you're valued so highly by the Zhou clan. The Grand Emperor and Emperor Zhou personally gave you gifts, and Lord Linjiang and the Crown Prince personally came to visit. Isn't it because they want to use us to build a good relationship with Master? As my eldest son, Guzi will definitely be the heir of Qingli Commandery. How can he not learn these scheming things? Your Highness is right. I've learned my lesson. Take your son out first. I'll change into a phoenix coronet and see how it looks. Wang Daoyuan probed. This outfit is quite troublesome to wear. Do you want me to help you? Zhou Wan took out the golden thread demon binding rope and chuckled. What do you think? I'd better go out for a walk. With that she carried Wang Mingchen out of the cave abode. Although he gave away dozens of caddies of hidden cloud tea, Wang Daoyuan was still very happy. This trip to Zhou was a huge profit. The benefits he obtained from Zhou were enough to cover his losses. He even obtained 2 complete high-grade rank 4 demon beast corpses. Of course, the biggest gain was still the space of the spirit pearl. The Gui water death flame burned the rank 5 water spirit chi, and a large amount of spirit fire essence was injected into the space of the spirit pearl. The concentration of spirit chi in the space had always been higher than usual. It was only now that it had completely returned to normal. The changes brought by the spirit chi were also great. The 5 spirit veins had all risen to high-grade rank 4, and the 5 element spirit fires in the space had also improved greatly. Among them, the Gui water death flame and the life spirit fire had both advanced to high-grade rank 4, and the other 3 spirit fires were also very close to high-grade rank 4. There were also 2 newly formed life spirit fire in the space, as well as the scarlet Yuan nirvana flame, which had also reached high-grade rank 3. Both the spirit veins and spirit fires had grown. In the future, the spirit plants in the space of the spirit pearl would also have a lot of progress. The area of the space of the spirit pearl as well as the flow of time would also increase the speed of growth. This spirit chi tide had at least saved the space of the spirit pearl more than 10 years of growth. Wang Daoyuan carried Wang Mingchen and strolled on the Jade Spring Peak. Under his deliberate concealment, the clansmen with low cultivation couldn't discover him at all. After strolling for an hour, they returned to the cave abode. At this time, Zhou Wan had already put on the phoenix coronet. The princess's phoenix coronet was of relatively high standard. There were 4 golden phoenixes on it, and the phoenix feathers were inlaid with pearls and gems. There were also palace flower decorations around the 4 golden phoenixes, making them look bright and beautiful. The robe was red with a phoenix embroidered with golden thread. Previously, when Wang Daoyuan was conferred the title of duke, he wore a coronet and an embroidered robe. Zhou Wan was still angry because she didn't have the coronet and robe. Now that Zhou Gua had sent it over, she naturally had to show it off. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly praised, "Her Highness is truly a celestial being. Guzi, do you still recognize this?" Wang Mingchen took a closer look and called out, "Mother." Zhou Wan was stunned at that time. After a long time she reacted and hugged Wang Mingchen in her arms. "After carrying him for more than a year and raising him for nearly a year, I finally heard him call me mother. The first sentence, you know, to call me mother. At least you have a bit of conscience, better than your heartless father. When you praise your son, do you need to step on me?" Zhou Wan glanced at him. "Less nonsense, put on your coronet and embroidered robe." Chapter 668. Under the eaves, one had no choice but to lower one's head. Zhou Wan had the golden demon binding rope given to her by Lei Yanzhenren. She didn't want to be tied up, so she could only listen obediently. It was easy to change his crown and robe, and he quickly changed into a full set. Zhou Wan sized him up. "This looks better. You're almost as good as the 12th uncle." Wang Daoyuan naturally understood her thoughts. He used to be the Blood Shadow Hall Master, and Wang Daoyuan was a Golden Core disciple. Their statuses were similar. Later on, Wang Daoyuan became a duke and could be considered the ruler of a country. Lei Yanzhenren broke through the Yuanying and he became a Yuanying disciple. Although the Blood Shadow Hall Master's status was high, it didn't sound good. She felt that she wasn't good enough for Wang Daoyuan, and her bad habit of worrying about personal gains and losses acted up again. Now she was the princess of Zhou and the leader of Immortal Qilwan. Her status was comparable to that of the direct disciples of the 4 top forces, and she was completely worthy of Wang Daoyuan. Naturally she had to show off. Zhou Wan said to Wang Mingchen, who was in her arms, "Look who this is." Wang Mingchen looked at Wang Daoyuan's appearance and couldn't move his eyes away. He shouted, "Father." Wang Daoyuan also smiled. "This dog is really smart. No matter how much I teased you outside, you wouldn't call me father. Now that you've changed into this, you know how to call me father. Don't be envious, I'll pass this on to you in the future." Wang Mingchen nodded his head as if he understood what he said. The little guy's muscles and bones grew very quickly and his endurance was also very strong. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian let him practice some earthly martial arts first. Although he was less than a year old, he was still quite good at gesturing. Wang Daoyuan also had to make preparations for leaving Beiyuan Zhou Xian. First, he used all kinds of methods to improve himself. For example, the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique was an inheritance left behind by Golden Rock Divine Lord. It was naturally extremely profound. In terms of the accompanying escape techniques, the few escape techniques that Wang Daoyuan had mastered could not even compare. There was also the concealment devil art that he had obtained from the spirit-devouring avatar. Although it had been improved, it was still not perfect. He still needed to work hard to improve it to the point where it could evade the detection of cultivators of the same level. As for the doppelganger soul nurturing technique, although he had the support of the devouring spirit inheritance, it was extremely difficult to modify the technique. What's more, this was a divine sense cultivation method. If he wasn't careful, it could cause damage to his soul. He already had enough divided souls. He didn't need to use them to fight, so there was no need for him to take this risk. There was also the sword cultivator legacy. He had to cultivate it to the point of becoming one with the sword as soon as possible. After all, the inheritances of the White Tiger Blade were the most powerful attacks aside from those trump cards. Moreover, sword cultivators were especially swift in their attacks. It was very easy for them to kill with a single strike. In addition to the improvement of his personal strength, he also had to prepare the tools to go out to sea. The Xianxia Xiaoxian community was definitely not close to Beiyuan Xiaoxian. Otherwise, there would be rumors of the Xianxia Xiaoxian community in Beiyuan. The journey between the two cultivation worlds was definitely not something that Yuanying or even soul formation cultivators would be willing to travel easily. It was obviously not reliable to fly over. With Wang Daoyuan's current cultivation, flying at a normal speed of 50,000 to 60,000 kilometers would consume most of his spiritual power. Any danger could appear on the sea. He had to ensure that he had enough combat power. He had to stop to recover after flying for 10,000 to 20,000 kilometers at a time. Even if he had the space of the spiritual orb and various resources to provide spiritual power. But if he kept flying, his divine sense and body would not be able to withstand it. Where could he rest on the vast sea? Back then, the 10,000 corpse spiritual master was able to escape because he was extremely lucky and found a relatively safe path. The route that Wang Daoyuan obtained from the Songhai observation record was only a general direction. The 10,000 corpse spiritual master did not record in detail what dangers were on this route or how he avoided them. In the future, he still had to make a trip to the Netherworld secret realm to get information from him. It would be very difficult to solve all these things without 30 to 50 years. No matter how many things there were, he still had to do them one by one. Becoming one with the sword depended on luck. There was no need to spend time on it now. When he cultivated to the peak of the Golden Core realm, he still had to go to the Tai Sword sect to help repair the Tai Divine Sword. That was the holy land of sword cultivators in Beiyuan Xiaoxian. There were many sword cultivator experts. If he comprehended becoming one with the sword there, it would naturally be twice the result with half the effort. For now, it was better to cultivate this relatively complete Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. The inheritance left behind by the Golden Rock Divine Lord after he broke through to the Soul Formation realm was naturally extremely brilliant. However, Wang Daoyuan had already cultivated the Dharma spells left behind during the Yuanying period, so it was not difficult for him to get started. In 2 or 3 days he condensed the Golden Rock's shadow. The accompanying feather blades, dragon capturing claws, wing blades, and the Golden Rock flight technique were also not difficult to learn. In the Beast Skin book sent by the Zhou Nation, these Dharma spells were recorded very completely. In just half a month, Wang Daoyuan had mastered all these Dharma spells. However, just being able to use them was far from enough. Dharma spells of 4th level and above could not be extremely lethal just by condensing the Golden Rock's shadow. They also had to rely on the Divine Beast's charm to unleash their true power. In Wang Daoyuan's Purple Mansion anomaly, there was no Golden Rock. Previously, he did not spend much effort to comprehend the Golden Rock's charm. The power of these Dharma spells now was not as good as using the Azure Dragon's charm to cast any of the Dharma spells that came with the true dragon body tempering technique. Without the Purple Mansion anomaly, it was still somewhat difficult to comprehend the Golden Rock's charm with just the Golden Rock true form illustration. However, Wang Daoyuan was very experienced in comprehending the Golden Rock's charm, so he was not at a loss. Although he did not have the Golden Rock's phenomenon, he had the Vermilion Bird's phenomenon. The rock was also considered a variant of the Phoenix race and had similarities with the Vermilion Bird. He drew out a wisp of Grand Unity golden flames and condensed the Golden Rock's shadow. Then he imitated the Vermilion Bird's charm and referred to the Golden Rock true form illustration to improve. More than 4 years later, Wang Daoyuan was cultivating in his cave abode. In his sea of consciousness, a silver rock was flying up and down. Suddenly the rock let out a sharp cry. The golden feather that had returned from patrol was resting on a tree near Wang Daoyuan's cave abode. When it heard the cry, it was frightened out of its wits. It quickly flapped its wings and flew into the sky. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. A cry could have such a deterrent force. It must have comprehended the rock's charm. Then he began to try to use the feather blade without condensing the Golden Rock's shadow. After cultivating for more than 10 days, he successfully condensed the feather blade. He had now condensed 300 feather blades. Each feather blade was more than a foot long. If these 300 feather blades were shot out together, it would be enough to kill the myriad spirit sect's netherwater black turtle outside the water. If he continued to cultivate, the feather blades would become fewer and fewer. The length of each feather blade would also become smaller and smaller. This way he could concentrate the power to a point. Under the situation where the overall power did not change, the more concentrated the power, the stronger the penetrative power. When dealing with experts, especially those demon beasts with rough skin and thick flesh, the killing effect would be more obvious. Then he cultivated the other 3 Dharma spells that came with the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. The most important one was the Golden Rock Flight technique. Now he could use it out of thin air. Its speed was the fastest among the escape techniques that he had mastered. After a few years, Wang Mingchen was already 5 years old. Over the years he had eaten a lot of good food. There was the breast milk of a late-stage golden core cultivator Zhou Xian, and the meat soup of a rank 4 demon beast. The honey of the soul-chasing bee and rank 1 and rank 2 spirit grains were all freely available. Now his physical strength was much stronger than that of an ordinary 10-year-old child. When Wang Daoyuan first started cultivating, he was far inferior to him. In terms of intelligence, he was also a little stronger than his peers, but not to the extent that it was ridiculous. After all, humans were known for their intelligence. It was not easy to surpass others. With his current physical strength, he could start cultivating. Under the watch of 2 late-stage golden core cultivators, Wang Mingchen cultivated the Meridian Unlocking technique. 3 hours later, Wang Mingchen cultivated a wisp of spirit qi and officially embarked on the path of cultivation. Chapter 669. Zhou Xian's face was filled with astonishment. When I first cultivated qi, it took me more than 6 hours. I saw the Blood Wolf's heavenly spirit root at the Blood Shadow headquarters. It took him more than 4 hours to sense qi. But Mingchen only took 3 hours to sense qi. His talent is far above mine. He definitely has a heavenly spirit root. Wang Daoyuan nodded. It's very likely that a heavenly spirit root is a heavenly spirit root. Only a few people who don't have enough qi or have other special circumstances will have a heavenly spirit root less than 9 inches. When you were pregnant with Gozi, there were no abnormalities, so the possibility of a heavenly spirit root less than 9 inches was very small. Gozi must have a heavenly spirit root to be able to cultivate so fast. Soon another piece of good news came. 5th great-uncle had comprehended the laws and could form his core. 3 years ago, 5th great-uncle's cultivation had reached the peak of the Purple Mansion realm. Then he left Jade Spring Peak and went to Wanchuan Market. 12th uncle guided him in comprehending the laws. Their cultivation techniques were exactly the same, and their Purple Mansion realm anomalies were very similar. It was better to guide each other. After 3 years, there was finally a result. The Wang family now had 3 places where one could form their core. They were Jade Spring Peak, Green Willow Secret Realm, and Wanchuan Market. Although Wanchuan Market had enough spirit veins, It was also close to the Wanchuan River. It might be disturbed by a large number of aquatic demonic beasts. Jade Spring Peak and Green Willow Secret Realm were very suitable. As for where to form his core, it was up to fifth great-uncle to choose. Soon fifth great-uncle returned from Wanchuan Market. Wang Daoyuan went outside the mountain to welcome him. The two of them returned to the hall together. Congratulations, fifth great-uncle. You're about to form your core. Fifth great-uncle waved his hand. I'm the first person to establish a purple mansion after our family declined. You're already in the late stage of the golden core realm and I've just formed my core. Besides, my talent isn't very good. It's hard to say if I can form my core successfully. Don't worry, fifth great-uncle. I've obtained a lot of demonic cores before. I've already refined gold formation pills, which can increase the success rate of forming my core by 20%. With your talent and the gold pills, your success rate is very high. Among the properties of our clan, the Jade Spring Peak and the Green Willow Secret Realm are both very suitable for core formation. Where do you plan to form your gold core? Fifth granduncle looked at the Jade Dragon Spring outside the auditorium and said with a smile, I'll form my gold core here. The Jade Spring Peak Spirit Vein is already very close to the middle grade of the 4th rank. If I succeed in forming my gold core, the blessings of the heavens and earth after the heavenly tribulation will be beneficial to the entire Jade Spring Peak. Jade Spring Peak Spirit Vein might be able to borrow this gift from the heavens and the earth to grow to the middle grade of the 4th rank. Ever since I can remember, I have taken it as my duty to revitalize the family and restore the glory of my ancestors. Now that more than 300 years have passed, under your leadership, the glory of the family has far surpassed the glory of the old ancestor. Whether it was territory, clansmen, industries, inheritances, or status, all of them were far better than before. The only drawback was that the Jade Spring Peak Spirit Veins were not as good as they used to be. Restoring the Jade Spring Peak Spirit Vein was the long-cherished wish of several generations of the clan members. Now that I have this opportunity, I want to do it myself. It's just that if I form my core here, it might attract demonic beast. I'll have to trouble you to protect me, Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, I can't wait for demonic beasts to come. I can kill a few 4th-rank demonic beasts and refine a few more furnaces of gold formation pills. Demonic beast meat can also nourish Mingchen's body. This little guy has already started cultivating. In just 3 hours he has already cultivated to the point of sensing qi. Fifth great-uncle was overjoyed. The heavens have eyes. Our Wang clan has produced another genius. Mingchen only has a single spiritual root, but his cultivation speed is so fast. There's no doubt that he has a heavenly spiritual root. Since that's the case for my little great-grandson to have 4th-rank demonic beast meat to eat, I also want to form my core on Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan gave a gold formation pill to fifth great-uncle. It wasn't that he didn't have more gold formation pills. It was just that this gold formation pill was only a primer for core formation. There wasn't much difference between eating 2 and eating 1. There was also no need to worry about the magic tools and medicinal pills needed to withstand the heavenly tribulation. In these past few years, the Wang clan had controlled the Myriad Rivers Market, a hub of commerce, and had purchased many of these kinds of resources. Fifth great-uncle adjusted himself a bit, then sat cross-legged beside the Jade Dragon Spring and began to prepare for core formation. In order to prevent anyone from disturbing fifth great-uncle, a portion of the clansmen had to be evacuated. Even the patriarch and great elder's place of business had to be moved elsewhere. These matters were handled by third brother and Wang Mingshan, so Wang Daoyuan didn't need to worry. Soon, the spiritual energy beside the Jade Dragon Spring began to surge, forming a wind of spiritual energy. The wind of spiritual energy grew stronger and soon formed a vortex of spiritual energy. This was fifth great-uncle beginning to absorb a large amount of spiritual energy to increase the true essence and spiritual energy in his body in preparation for core formation. There was still half a year before the formation of the golden core and the descent of the heavenly tribulation. Wang Daoyuan also stayed in the cave and taught Wang Mingchen well in his cultivation. At the same time, he also improved the devil concealment art. 5 months passed very quickly. Wang Xian swallowed the gold formation pill in one gulp. There was no need to refine it. The gold formation pill turned into a golden energy and merged with his meridians. It then followed his meridians and gathered in his dantian. At this time, All kinds of energy were mixed in his dantian. There was a golden core formed from true essence and blood essence, as well as a large amount of liquid spiritual energy. This golden energy mixed with spiritual energy and quickly formed a water-blue solid that wrapped around the golden core. A month later, a water-blue ball with a diameter of 4 inches appeared above the Jade Dragon's spring peak. This was the golden core's projection. A 4-inch golden core could only be considered below average. However, the spiritual energy in Beiyuan Zhou Xian wasn't very dense, and it lacked all kinds of natural treasures. Being able to form a 4-inch golden core was already very good. The appearance of the golden core's projection meant that the heavenly tribulation was not far away. Wang Daoyuan immediately closed the various formations and restrictions in the cave and took Zhou Luan and Wang Mingchen away from the Jade Dragon Spring. Soon the golden core's projection landed in front of fifth great uncle. He opened his mouth and swallowed the golden core's projection. The spiritual energy fluctuations in his body rapidly increased, and a small dark cloud appeared in the sky. The surrounding spiritual energy began to surge into the dark cloud. After receiving a large amount of spiritual energy, the dark cloud's range rapidly expanded. The range of the tribulation cloud was related to the talent of the person undergoing the tribulation. Fifth great uncle's talent was far inferior to that of 12th uncle, so the tribulation cloud naturally wasn't that big. After the dark cloud expanded to a diameter of more than 5 kilometers, it stopped expanding. The heavenly power also descended and only covered an area of 7 to 8 kilometers in diameter. Fifth great uncle also took out a defensive magic weapon from his interspatial ring and prepared to welcome the heavenly tribulation. He was well prepared for the tribulation. Fifth great uncle didn't have any special constitution, so there wouldn't be any abnormalities. Wang Daoyuan also informed third brother and asked him to bring the clansmen who needed the gifts of heaven and earth to strengthen their foundation. The heavenly tribulation soon fell, but its power was much weaker than that of 12th uncle's heavenly tribulation. Fifth great uncle prepared 4 low-grade 4th tier and 3 middle-grade 4th tier defensive magic weapons. After transcending the heavenly tribulation, he still had 1 middle-grade 4th tier magic weapon left. Fifth great uncle had already transcended the heavenly tribulation without being injured. The tribulation cloud in the sky began to turn from black to gold. From the east, a winged tiger with a body length of more than 30 meters was flying towards the Jade Spring Peak. It was Yun-Yi, and he was carrying the Thunder Ape and Dahe on his back. These 3 fellows were getting more and more shrewd. When they saw someone transcending the tribulation on the Jade Spring Peak, they came over to take advantage of the gifts of heaven and earth. The Thunder Ape was still a distance away from 3rd tier superior grade, and there was no possibility of it breaking through for the time being. Yun-Yi was about to break through to 3rd tier superior grade, and this time, it was very likely that he would break through after receiving the gifts of heaven and earth. Dahe had eaten a lot of bloodline pills over the years, and now it had reached the limit of 2nd tier superior grade, and it was about to break through to 3rd tier. However, breaking through to 3rd tier was also breaking the limit of its bloodline, and it was hard to say whether it could succeed or not. The tribulation cloud in the sky had completely turned golden, and golden raindrops fell from the clouds. Fifth great uncle began to absorb these raindrops and integrate them into his golden core. After a few minutes, the speed at which fifth great uncle absorbed the golden raindrops decreased significantly. He shouted, "Daoyuan, let the clansmen come and absorb the gifts of heaven and earth." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, and the clansmen who had been waiting on the mountainside for a long time ran over. Fifth great uncle specially came over and carried Wang Mingchen to the Jade Dragon Spring. Chapter 670. Although a child like Wang Mingchen had already displayed part of his spiritual root talent, there was still qi in his body. However, his body still contained a lot of Xiantian qi and his spirit root still had room for growth. By absorbing the power of heaven and earth, one's spiritual root could grow. Moreover, the golden raindrops could improve one's body in all aspects. This gift of heaven and earth was formed by the fifth great uncle's heavenly tribulation. Wherever he was, there would be more golden raindrops. Wang Mingchen received far more benefits than others by staying by his side. Blackie and the Thunder Ape were more sensible. They stayed at the edge of the golden raindrops. Yun-Yi shrank its body to about 30 centimeters and ran to the fifth great uncle's side, wanting to absorb more energy. This guy had guarded Fallen Dragon Ridge for more than 100 years. Sometimes it would even run transportation. It was a great contribution. The clansmen didn't treat it as an outsider, so they allowed it to act shamelessly. Anyway, its body shrank and it couldn't steal much of the golden raindrops. If it became stronger, the clan's strength would also increase. At this moment, a fiery red streak of light was heading straight for the Jade Spring Peak from the southeast. With Wang Daoyuan's divine consciousness, he could naturally tell who it was. It was Wang Dezhao who had offered the Cloud and Rain Heart Sutra. He was quite talented and was at the 8th stage of foundation establishment back then. Almost 40 years had passed, but he was still at the peak of foundation establishment. Wang Daoyuan and the other upper echelons of the clan nurtured him as a golden core seedling. The Yin-Yang cub didn't lack him either. It could have opened its purple mansion long ago. However, he didn't try to break through. Instead, he kept strengthening his foundation. It was obvious that this kid was very ambitious for his future path. He was unwilling to be an ordinary golden core cultivator like the 5th great uncle. He wanted to become an expert among golden core cultivators. Breaking through to the Purple Mansion realm was very important for a cultivator's path. The size of the Purple Mansion directly determined the growth space of the soul. There was no need to talk about the role of the soul. The Purple Mansion phenomenon determined the power of the Dharma spells, as well as the minor divine powers and divine powers in the future. The more solid the foundation, the bigger the Purple Mansion, the stronger the Purple Mansion phenomenon, and the brighter the future path. Wang Dezhao was a cultivator with 2 spiritual roots. His main spiritual root was an 8.5-inch fire spiritual root. Even in the 4 top forces, he was a golden core seedling. The Wang family didn't have any external enemies and had perfected Lei Yan as their backer. He had the capital to slowly settle down. Wang Dezhao landed on the Jade Spring Peak and cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan. 7th Granduncle, I plan to take advantage of the old ancestors' core formation to establish my Violet Palace. Wang Daoyuan took out a piece of yin-yang purple jade and said with a smile, "Good boy, this is indeed a rare opportunity. Go try to get a divine beast phenomenon." Wang Dezhao took the yin-yang purple jade and smiled. "I'll do my best." With that, he walked to the area covered by the gift of heaven and earth and sat down to absorb the golden rain. Wang Daoyuan was worried that some demonic beasts would come and cause trouble. He had already released thousands of soul-chasing bees to the east and north. If a rank 4 demonic beast was attracted, it would not deliberately hide its body, and the soul-chasing bee would still be able to discover it. The surrounding demonic beasts might have been frightened by Wang Daoyuan, or they might have been afraid of Taoist Lei Yan. This time, 5th great uncle's tribulation transcendence was surprisingly calm. No rank 4 demonic beasts came to join in the fun, whether it was in the northern part of the mountain or in the sky/mountain range. His plan to kill 2 rank 4 demonic beasts also fell through. Soon, the golden auspicious clouds in the sky became thinner and thinner. The golden raindrops also became fewer and fewer and gradually stopped. The clansmen who did not need to break through also left the Jade Dragon Spring and went to do their own work. 5th great uncle sent Wang Mingchen over and stroked his beard with a smile. Mingchen is young, but his body's endurance is not weak. The amount of golden raindrops he absorbed was comparable to a foundation establishment cultivator. "Daoyuan, you and your granddaughter-in-law are overseeing the Jade Spring Peak, so there's no need for me. How about I go to the Green Willow secret area? There's only one Zifu disciple, Daoxing, guarding there. I'm a bit worried." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble you." 5th great uncle waved his hand. "I don't have the ability to take down this property. I was able to cultivate until now because of your help. It's only right that I look after the property for you. After the Golden Core ceremony, I'll go oversee the Green Willow province." At this time, Wang Dezhao also got up and left the Jade Dragon Spring. He went to the Earth Fire Room and prepared to establish his Zifu. 4 hours later, the clansmen by the Jade Dragon Spring all dispersed. Even the Thunder Ape came to Wang Daoyuan's side and played with Wang Mingchen. Only Yun Yi and Big Black were still lying by the Jade Dragon Spring. Big Black had fallen into a deep sleep. It should be about to break through. Yun Yi was still awake, but the spiritual power fluctuations on her body were slowly increasing. She should also be about to break through. At this time, divine sense fluctuations came from the Earth Fire Room. Then purple light came out from the rock layer above the earth fire room. 6 hours later, a purple ball the size of a longan appeared. It kept absorbing the purple light and strengthening itself. After growing to 7.5 inches, the purple ball no longer grew. Fifth great uncle sighed in admiration. Good boy, you actually have a Zifu of 7.5 inches. With an 8.5-inch fire spiritual root, you can catch up with Shri's embryonic Zifu. This child's foundation is really deep. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Dezhao's talent is indeed not bad. Our family has produced another one who can shoulder the burden. The embryonic Zifu had stopped growing, and an extremely pure crimson spiritual power appeared out of thin air. This crimson spiritual power condensed into a ball, and then slowly turned into a small crimson flame. Fire anomalies were much rarer than spirit beast anomalies, but not to the extent that they were rare. Both Lei Yanzhenren and Wang Daoyin had fire anomalies. This anomaly had a great advantage. After forming the core, as long as one could comprehend a lesser magical power, they would have a chance to condense spiritual fire. It was hard to say what the name of this flame was and whether it was strong or weak. Legend had it that perfected Lord Hundred Spirits' Zifu anomaly was a ball of flame. Wang Dezhao's cultivation technique was perfected Lord Hundred Spirits' heavenly fire soul refining art. Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits' inheritance was naturally much more brilliant than the Wang family's overturned sea technique. In addition, fire attribute cultivators were powerful in fights of magical powers. In the future, his strength would probably be above that of the 12th uncle. Then the flame turned into flame patterns and was engraved on the embryonic Zifu. Once the fire anomaly appeared, the soul also quickly appeared. A human-shaped gray mist ball appeared and gradually shrank until it was 7.5 inches. It came to the embryonic Zifu and sat down cross-legged. Wang Dezhao's mind was very firm. The gray mist figure only stayed in front of the embryonic Zifu for a few seconds, and a door appeared on the embryonic Zifu. The gray mist figure immediately walked into the Zifu. The purple light disappeared and the Zifu fell. Half a day later, Wang Dezhao walked out of the earth fire chamber. He handed the yin-yang purple jade to Wang Daoyuan with a worried expression. Seventh uncle, I didn't use the yin-yang purple jade to establish my Zifu. It's just that the Zifu anomaly is a ball of flame. I don't know if it's strong or weak. Wang Daoyuan took the yin-yang purple jade. The value of a fire anomaly is generally not lower than that of a divine beast. Even if it's a little weak now, it has great potential for growth. It's not impossible for it to surpass most divine beast anomalies in the future. If you can comprehend lesser magical powers after forming the core, you can even use them to condense spiritual fire. This kind of spiritual fire, which is related to the Zifu anomaly and lesser magical powers, has a bright future. There's a secret technique on the 3rd floor of the Hidden Scriptures Tower to comprehend the charm of the Zifu anomaly. You can learn it. After comprehending the true meaning of fire, all the fire tribute spells you cast will have a strong enhancement effect. Hearing this, Wang Dezhao's worry turned into joy. After saying goodbye to Wang Daoyuan, he ran to the Hidden Scriptures Tower. Beside the Jade Dragon Spring, Yunyi had also finished breaking through. Her spiritual power stabilized at the mid-grade of the 3rd stage, but the metal attribute's spiritual power on her body had greatly increased. Wang Daoyuan didn't find it strange. After all, Yunyi had the bloodline of the soul-devouring dark tiger. The soul-devouring dark tiger was a mutated white tiger, so it naturally had metal attribute's spiritual power. If Yunyi continued to grow, she would most likely become a dual attribute spirit beast with metal attribute as the main attribute and water attribute as the secondary attribute. Blackie was still in a deep sleep. It wasn't easy to break through the bloodline shackles and it might take a long time. Wang Daoyuan didn't let it continue lying there. Instead, he put it into the space of the spiritual pearl. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.